Quiet, please. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the New York City Hybrid Hearing on the Committee on Parks and Recreation. At this time, please silence all electronic devices. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and one of us as Sergeant at Arms will kindly assist you. Chair, we are ready to begin.
All righty. Good morning. I'm Ty Hankerson, Chair of the Committee on Parks and Recreation. I'd like to welcome everyone who has come to participate in today's hearing on how we can ensure our city's trees are properly cared for so they can thrive in the near and long term. The importance of trees to New Yorkers is obvious. They are the front line in providing for a healthy environment. Trees improve water quality by filtering and diverting stormwater runoff, filter high-frequency noises, and provide habitats for wildlife. They also help reduce the urban heat island effect, bring people closer to nature, cool the air in hot weather, and improve air quality by reducing pollution. Various studies have estimated that trees reduce annual residential energy costs by $17 million per year and reduce runoff by 69 million cubic feet per year. In terms of where trees are, just over half of the stock is managed by the Parks Department. This amounts to about 28%, 28 is a good number, that are in parks and 25% that are on streets or other rights of way. About a third of the canopy is on private land and the remaining 11% on land that is owned by various other government entities. Typically, the highest numbers of tree cover is found in areas with large parks and in neighborhoods that have lower population density levels. The lowest tree cover can be found in heavily developed and dense areas. Despite their importance, the process for maintaining, planting, and increasing the overall number of trees throughout the city can often be overlooked and not very transparent to New Yorkers. That's why I wanted to focus on this issue for our first hearing as the Parks Committee. Nothing shows how a city treats its infrastructure more clearly than the value it places on caring for its trees. In terms of the process, Commissioner Shimomura and her team will surely speak to it in greater detail today, but briefly, the process involved in maintaining trees by the Parks Department has many facets. It includes a block-by-block pruning schedule, contracting with various businesses to maintain trees, engaging nonprofit organizations to help plant, preserve, and protect trees, and an inspection process through the Park Inspection Program, or PIP, in which inspections on park properties, including trees, are carried out routinely. It's no surprise to anyone that over the years, and indeed very recently, the department's budget for maintenance has suffered ups and downs. It was stretched from once every 7 years to once every 15 years before being brought back to every 7 years again. Though some of those funds have been restored with the most recent FY26 budget, issues persist. And with talk about difficulties that the FY27 budget may face, I am very, very concerned because tree-related issues are nothing to be dismissed or treated lightly. For example, 3 of the top 5 categories of parks-related 311 calls involve complaints about trees, including concerns over premature deaths to new trees, broken tree limbs, and sidewalk damage resulting from growing tree roots. Additionally, numerous tragic incidents over the years have occurred where bystanders have been severely injured and even killed from falling tree branches, many from trees that have been weakened due to severe weather. I hope to use this hearing to examine ways by which we can improve the maintenance and inspection processes, including looking at how recent local laws enacted by the council are being implemented to this end. At today's hearing, I also want to make sure we push for meaningful action to expand our tree canopy equitably, so more communities, especially underserved communities, that have long lacked green space are better protected from the dangers of urban heat. Research shows that the most vulnerable communities, those with lower average incomes, higher percentages of people of color, and higher rankings on the heat vulnerability index, tended to have lower tree canopy. This is a sad reality, but one that can be fixed with the right amount of political will to allocate resources necessary to make equitable tree coverage and green space access a reality for all New Yorkers, no matter where you live or where you come from. Many advocates have been working for years on this issue. For example, the Forest for All Coalition did extensive work studying our urban forests to help city policymakers understand the best steps to protect and grow our tree canopy. As a result, the Council passed Local Law 148 of 2023, which requires the creation of an urban forest plan that aims to help the city expand the tree canopy from the current 22% coverage to 30% coverage. I want to ensure that this council and committee support all efforts that aim to increase the quality and quantity of city trees and have the city strategically plan for the long-term future of the urban forests. All levels of government need to get serious in treating our tree stock as crucial infrastructure that must be supported with sufficient resources and equitably distributed to all parts of our city. We deserve no less, and the well-being of our environment and the health of each and every New Yorker depends on this reality. I'd like to welcome everyone who has come to participate in this hearing and offer testimony today. Thank you again and welcome. Now I'll turn this over to our committee counsel, Chris Satori, to swear in the members of the Parks Department.
Thank you, Chair. Would Commissioner Shimamura and the representatives of the Parks Department please raise your right hand if you're able? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions? Thank you.
Commissioner, you may begin.
I hope everyone can hear me. Good morning, Chair Hankerson, members of the Parks Committee, and other members of the City Council. I am Tricia Shimamura, Commissioner of New York City Parks. I'm pleased to be joined today by our Assistant Commissioner of Forestry and Horticulture, Ben Osborne, as well as our Chief of Citywide Legislative Affairs, Matt Drury. We're also pleased to be joined by our colleagues from the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, including the city's Chief Climate Officer, Louise Young, and their Deputy Executive Director, Paul Lozito. I'm honored to be here for my first opportunity to formally testify on behalf of the agency as Commissioner. I'd like to take a brief moment to share a little bit about my personal history. I had the opportunity to work with many of you in my most recent role as Parks Manhattan Borough Commissioner, as well as some of the other governmental roles I've served in recent years. But I actually began my career in public service as a social worker in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, working with students and their families. Like many of those families, I grew up believing that government was not something meant for people who necessarily looked like me or came from families like mine. And the problems we encountered often seemed too broken and too large for any one person to be able to fix. But through that experience, I started to see government as not only a way to deliver change, but also a way to deliver belonging in a city that so many called home. And our city parks and open spaces are a hugely important component of that, of making that a reality. I was humbled to be appointed by Mayor Mamdani to lead this agency that I love so much and which touches the lives of millions of New Yorkers each and every day. I deeply appreciate and understand that the agency I now have the honor of leading has a mandate to uphold and a critical role to play in the future of our city. And I look forward to working productively and cooperatively with the council so that we can give New Yorkers the incredible city park system that they so truly deserve. I'd like to begin my testimony today by noting our appreciation for the council's continued advocacy for our city parks and for the resources and support as provided for our forestry efforts. The city's urban canopy is one of the most vital resources the city has in ensuring our neighborhoods are healthy and thriving. It provides numerous measurable benefits to everyone living in the 5 boroughs, including improving human health and well-being, and I am very proud of the work our parkies do every day to grow and protect our city's trees. Yet the importance of our urban canopy can be often overlooked and undervalued, even though our city's trees are essential living infrastructure, just as vital for New Yorkers as roads, subways, and telecommunication lines. New York City has nearly 43,000 acres of tree canopy, a full 23.4% of the city's land area, which is best defined as the cover or shade provided by our city trees. This robust urban forest provides an incredible array of environmental, social, and economic benefits, such as reducing stormwater runoff, shading buildings, and conserving energy by reducing heating and cooling costs, protecting cities' pavement from rain and sun, noise mitigation, increasing property values, and of course, cleaning and cooling the air, benefiting our overall health and well-being. Though a lot of the public's attention is focused on the value of planting new trees, it is important to note that the benefits from tree canopy increase exponentially when you protect and nourish the growth of the larger, healthy trees that already exist. We are proud to be known as the Agency of Trees. Our agency logo, recognized around the world, is literally symbolized by a tree leaf. And New York City Parks is responsible for roughly half of the city's tree canopy, nearly 23,000 acres. The rest of our city's tree canopy grows on a combination of private and public land parcels, such as residential front and backyards, cemeteries, vacant land, and other public lands not managed by New York City Parks, such as Nycc campuses, NYC public schools, schoolyards, and state property. The trees that make up the canopy under our care generally fall into one of three categories. They are located in one of our natural forests, in landscaped areas of a park, and along our city streets. We estimate that there are nearly 5 million trees in our natural forests, and those are managed by our agency's Natural Resource Group as part of the forested ecosystem, which includes understory vegetation, soils, and wildlife. We will welcome the opportunity to further discuss the care of our natural forests and other related topics with the Council, but maintaining and growing our city's tree stock is an incredibly sweeping subject, encompassing many technical and complex nuances. So for the purposes of today's hearing, we'd like to focus on our street trees and trees in landscaped parks. These are the trees that are individually managed by our agency, nearly 823,000 trees, over 666,000 of which are along city streets, and nearly 157,000 of which are growing in landscaped areas of parks. I'd like to provide a quick update on the tree impact resulting from late February's Winter Storm Hernando, which produced the most significant impacts we've witnessed from a snowstorm since 2018. I'm grateful to our expert forestry crews at Parks and to our partners on the Down Tree Task Force, including NYC Emergency Management, Department of Sanitation, FDNY, and NYPD, who worked as one team to respond to the reports we were hearing from the public and bring some normalcy back to our city. During the course of the storm, we received more than 1,800 tree-related service requests, which included a significant portion of duplicate requests related to the same concern, as often happens during storms. After performing over 1,200 inspections, all of which were completed within 48 hours of the end of the storm, our foresters confirmed that a total of 220 fallen trees due to the storm, including 47 that were blocking streets and 9 trees or large limbs that fell on buildings, all of which were addressed within 72 hours after the storm ended. We created over 1,000 work orders related to damaged or fallen trees and limbs and are completing that work as quickly as possible, prioritizing the most severe and dangerous conditions. To be clear, this can be complex and challenging work, especially in slippery and snowy conditions involving the use of heavy equipment and large vehicles. So we thank New Yorkers for their patience and support as the work continues. Even outside of emergency extreme weather conditions, our agency is dedicated to caring for our trees in a way that keeps New Yorkers safe. So we utilize a rigorous risk management approach to prioritize tree conditions that present the most risk to the public and address those immediately. This involves a comprehensive inspection program carried out by some of the most qualified foresters in the country, accompanied by responsive in-house crews working alongside contractors who focus on proactive tree maintenance, including neighborhood block pruning, tree-related sidewalk repair, and pest and disease control. While we believe that the totality of the benefits that trees provide greatly outweigh the inconveniences that can be caused, the simple truth is that trees are living and growing entities that can come into conflict with surrounding infrastructure at times. Our forestry team has taken steps in recent years to improve best practices in hopes of minimizing these negative impacts, such as enlarging our standard tree beds to allow more room for root growth, doing our best to avoid building damage due to tree limbs, and being more selective about the tree species being planted in a given location to avoid conflict with above ground or below ground infrastructure. Though it will take significant time before the full impact of these efforts are borne out, we are committed to continuing to seeking the best possible outcomes while protecting and nourishing this vital living infrastructure. Since we believe that every New York City neighborhood should get to enjoy the benefits that trees provide, we are working to expand our tree canopy with new plantings all over the city, delivered in a more efficient and equitable fashion, thanks to the concentrated planting strategy adopted through our recently launched neighborhood tree planting program. For years, new street trees were often planted primarily upon request, leading to inefficient planting around the city, resulting in some neighborhoods receiving a larger percentage of new trees while other neighborhoods went without. Now, new street trees are getting planted on a data driven basis of fairness and efficiency, prioritizing the most heat vulnerable neighborhoods first as a matter of environmental justice. Over a 9-year period, New York City Parks will serve the entire city with new trees in a strategic and equitable manner, ensuring that every street location that is appropriate and viable for a tree will have been planted by the end of that time frame. Through this new approach, a significant portion of every community district in the city will receive new trees at least once every 3 years. Additionally, while New York City Parks will be planting new street trees through a more comprehensive approach along each city block, we will concurrently remove tree stumps and dead or dying trees, plant in all appropriate locations, and identify all unplantable tree beds, either restoring them to pavement or working with local community members that volunteer to care for it as green space. Even in its early stages, this new strategic approach is already delivering results for New Yorkers. In the fall-winter planting season that just concluded, our agency set a new 10-year high watermark for as more than 9,500 trees were planted along our streets and in our parks, in neighborhoods that were most vulnerable to the impacts of extreme heat. We worked with nurseries to prepare a larger stock of trees well in advance of the planting season and coordinated an incredible effort amongst our foresters, tree procurement team, and our contractors. We look forward to building on this great success as we resume planting in the spring. We have already reached out to your council offices and local community boards to share maps and other details about the upcoming planting season, so please let us know if there are any additional information that would be helpful to your constituents. The health of our tree canopy would not be possible without the city's numerous advocacy groups and the diligent work of our numerous park stewards and volunteers. These volunteers generously donate their time and energy to looking after our city trees in coordination with our incredible stewardship team to build and foster a community-based culture of caring for trees. Please encourage your constituents to sign up for stewardship events via the NYC Parks website or care for their neighborhood trees by watering trees weekly and weeding unwanted plants from tree beds. New Yorkers can even record their tree care activities on the NYC tree map located on our agency's website. We are also in the midst of our decennial Trees Count tree census, in which volunteers are helping us survey and count all of the trees within our landscape parks. Over 2,500 dedicated tree lovers came out last summer to take part of this effort, which will start to back up again in the spring, and we welcome all of you to help us get the word out and even come out and join us in the parks. This grassroots volunteer effort in our parks will be accompanied by the use of groundbreaking technology as we plan to count every single street tree in New York City using state-of-the-art LiDAR scanners that will create 3D models of every tree, providing information about each tree's size, species, condition, and location in incredible detail. Though we don't have time today to exhaustively outline every effort the agency is taking to ensure the long-term health and growth of the city's tree canopy, I hope this overview has helped demonstrate our commitment to growing and protecting this living infrastructure that is absolutely vital for New Yorkers. Moreover, I hope that you leave this hearing with a renewed appreciation for our trees and the people who care for them, including the New York City Parks foresters, climbers, pruners, as well as a larger pool of NYC Parks horticultural professionals who care for our vast and diverse park system. Thank you for allowing us to testify before you today and for your continued advocacy and support for our city parks. I'm very happy now to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. I do want to mention that we've been joined by a number of my colleagues, Councilmember Marte, Councilmember Ong, Councilmember Morano, Councilmember Banks, Councilmember Salam, Councilmember Brewer, Councilmember Narcisse, and Councilmember Nurse, and Councilmember Santosuoso via Zoom. All right, with that, I'm going to start with just a few questions, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues, and then I'll come back for a second round so I don't hog up all the time. Local Law 148 requires a path to 30% canopy cover citywide. Based on the data reviewed by the committee, canopy cover was about 23.4% as of 2021. Based on DPR's current planting and maintenance rates, When does DPR estimate the city will reach 30% canopy cover?
Thank you so much for the question. I love this question not only because it talks about the impact of our trees and what happens when we not only plant new trees, but take care of our existing tree stock, which really does exponentially help our canopy. But I also love it because it points to our upcoming plan that's coming out in partnership with our partners at MOCEJ. So I'm just going to start it off, then I'll look to our Chief Climate Officer to add more detail. We are so excited that finally our city's plan in order to reach 30% canopy is coming out just this spring. I just want to point out that this plan is going to be laying out the steps on how we get to 30% canopy, but also will highlight the incredible importance of our vital infrastructure, which is our trees. Oftentimes, I think that people think differently about our subways or sidewalks or underground infrastructure and lose sight of that this vital living infrastructure, which is trees, is providing so much benefits, including things like shade, like cooling down our buildings, like additional stormwater runoff, like air quality and noise mitigation. So many of those benefits are coming from this plan to increase our canopy, and we're looking forward to seeing that plan come out very, very soon. But I'll pass it over to our partners over at MOCEJ.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the question, Councilmember. My name is Louise Young, and I'm the Chief Climate Officer and the head of the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. And as the Commissioner mentioned, we've been working in partnership to develop the Urban Forest Plan. And I want to give a little preview of the roadmap that we're laying out. We're still developing our plan recommendations, and so are excited to come back to you once they're finalized. But we're really thinking about this roadmap in three different kinds of buckets. The first is to plant more trees wherever possible with a priority on environmental justice communities that have historically had low canopy cover. The second is, as the Commissioner mentioned, to preserve the existing trees that are already here and to make sure that we can help them to mature and to expand their tree canopy coverage. Our analysis found that the 90% of the canopy growth that we're expected to see is actually going to come from the maturing of existing trees. And so we really want to make sure that that pillar of work is just as important as planting new trees in those areas that we can do that. And last but definitely not least, the plan focuses on strengthening connections between New Yorkers and their urban forest. As the Commissioner mentioned in her testimony, the trees that exist in our city are across all sorts of types of property, from parks to our public right-of-way to private property owners, small homeowners, large institutional landowners. And so we have worked very closely with our Forest for All Coalition, many of the members are here today, to make sure that we engage a diverse group of stakeholders to think about the ways that we can support them in caring for their trees, educate people on the benefits of them, how to prune them, how to care for them, when to plant them, how to make sure that they're not going to fall on your roof during a storm, all of those different things. And so we are really excited for this urban forest plan to really lay out a very concrete, actionable roadmap that the city, along with our partners in the private sector and the environmental space, can really make sure we're expanding our tree canopy to meet that 30% goal.
Given that, what would it take in terms of staffing, contracts, nursery capacity, and funding to potentially expedite the timeline for reaching the 30%?
It's a great question. So one point I'll just point out at the very beginning is that ultimately, as we said in our testimony, the canopy that NYC Parks is responsible for is just about a little over, I think, half of all the trees that are ultimately kind of contributing to that canopy. So for parks, we look at that half that we can control, that's in our landscaped areas, our natural areas, our street trees. I am so proud of this agency for looking very critically at the way that we used to do plantings. And the way that we used to do plantings was really based on requests. There was this long list of where these requests were coming in many times, and it was a privilege and honor to take those requests in from members of the council. But ultimately, it really was based on requests, and so you would start to see some inequities around where those trees were planted, where they weren't planted, and ultimately we weren't being very efficient with our time and with our resources on how this was done. So the agency went back and really looked at, instead of doing this somewhat ad hoc, somewhat by request, kind of bopping around our city, what would it look like to comprehensively do this work? What would it look like to look at every single plantable inch of the city, and how long would that take? And not only were we looking at planting new trees, but we were also looking at what would it look like to provide comprehensive services on every single block, where we were also expanding tree beds, where we were also removing stumps, working with partnership organizations and nonprofit leaders to look at non-plantable tree beds. And oftentimes there are some of those too, and either filling in those beds or looking at planting, doing other sorts of natural plantings there. And if we did that on a comprehensive level, if we instead were directed and more purposeful, I would say, in doing that across the city, and we came up with this idea that we could do this in 9 years, which I think is pretty amazing. In 9 years' time, I will be able to look at you and tell you that we've been able to plant and assess every single piece of our city. And so that is where we're at now, where we're looking at implementing this plan, always with an eye towards equity, always prioritizing our heat vulnerable neighborhoods first. And that's what you'll see us continue to do over the next several years.
Thank you for that. Last year, NYC Parks planted just under 18,000 street trees. Does DPR currently have enough staff and contractor capacity to increase that number? And what would it take to reach 25,000 and or 50,000 trees per year?
Sure. Thank you again for the question. So, just kind of building off of the last response I gave, that comprehensive approach has not only, I would argue, served New York City better, which is ultimately our goal, but it also has meant that we've increased our amount of plantings significantly. Last year, I believe, in my testimony, we said that we had a record high of over 9,500 street trees that were planted. And we do this work really in partnership with both our in-house tree planting team as well as a kind of wide array of contractors. But mostly, I think that looking at this comprehensively, we're very excited to see that we're excited to see those tree numbers grow. Also excited to see that really and truly we're looking at the whole picture, not just where we're planted, not where we're putting in new trees, but also where we're filling in and taking away other kind of unnecessary stumps or unnecessary planting beds where trees wouldn't be able to grow. I'm going to look towards our Assistant Commissioner, Ben Osborne, for Forestry, just to make sure that if there are any additional information around just the hard numbers for you, so you can understand where we were in past years and where we look to go now, particularly with the upcoming planting season ahead of us. And I will just add, before I pass it over to you, that, of course, a large portion of this work can be impacted by weather. So what we will see too is that based on the year, based on whether or not we have more storms or other extreme weather activity, that does also play a role in our planting season.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have much to add. I will just say, as we're transitioning into our approach to neighborhood tree planting, as the Commissioner said, we're really proud of the great fall season we just had, and we're hopeful that that this approach to neighborhood tree planting will prove to be even more efficient than our past practices, and we hope to see those numbers go up in the coming years.
Thank you. Based on canopy data reviewed by the committee, citywide canopy cover increased from 2017 to 2021, but some neighborhoods, especially low-income and marginalized communities, still saw canopy loss and higher heat vulnerability. How does DPR explain that difference? And what may you be doing to address those concerns in those particular communities?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Ultimately, and I believe I said it in my testimony, but it's worth repeating many times over, we should be approaching all of the work that is absolutely essential to serving the city through a lens of equity. So where we look, where we put our resources, where we look to lead here should always be looking at what are the neighborhoods that have received less, what are the neighborhoods that are more vulnerable to extreme weather, more vulnerable to heat. And so through our neighborhood tree planting program, that is absolutely, we use a data-driven approach that really looks at HVI neighborhoods. So that's heat vulnerable index based on DOHMH data. And we look at those neighborhoods that are at HVI levels 4 and 5 first and foremost. When it comes to the overall canopy, what I'll also point out is that Those neighborhoods that we saw that saw a reduction in their canopy, and I'll also look to MOCEJ in a second to add on to this, but they were also neighborhoods that were hit particularly hard through extreme storm and events in the past. So when you look at those data points, we also see that those were exactly the same time when we had extreme weather, tropical storms that came through. And unfortunately, I wish it could be said where that only one type of tree was susceptible to extreme weather events, but it's not that way. You can see new trees, old trees, trees that have only lived half of their kind of usable life years. They're all somewhat susceptible to these extreme weather events. It really just depends on the type of weather that comes in. But I'll look now to our partners at MOCEJ to see if they'd like to add anything else about the canopy.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for that question. So we did a lot of extensive analysis in developing the urban forest plan, and what we found was some of the biggest losses in tree canopy cover were happening in eastern Queens, and a lot of that was due to new development and removals for different reasons. And then in coastal neighborhoods, as the Commissioner mentioned, extreme weather has a really major impact on the health of trees, and so the neighborhoods that were affected by storms in the last couple of years really saw a lot of those losses. And so, private property is a really interesting space for us because it's, an area where we saw a lot of losses, but also has the largest untapped planting opportunities. And that's why we wanted to make sure that as we were engaging stakeholders during the urban forest plan, we really thought very intentionally about what it looks like to educate and bring in private property owners into this process and really make sure they have the tools to care for their trees on their property, to think about how to best plant new trees, and to make sure that they're safe from storms. And I want to also mention a couple of bright spots too. As you mentioned, Council Member, the tree canopy coverage did grow from the time that you mentioned, from 2017 to 2021. We had about 8,000 acres that were gained. We had 5,700 that were lost, but it's a net gain of 23,000 acres. And the areas that saw the greatest gains included Central Brooklyn, Upper Manhattan, and the Bronx. And those specifically reflected the targeted planting investments that the Commissioner mentioned to try to make sure that we are focused on high heat vulnerable areas and to make sure we're growing the tree canopy in the places that need it the most. So we're really proud to see that those outcomes reflected for New Yorkers, and we hope that the roadmap provided in the urban forest plan can continue to accelerate that expansion in our tree canopy.
Does the department track and prioritize the neighborhoods with repeated canopy loss across multiple reporting periods?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Does the
question.
department track? Does the department track and prioritize neighborhoods with repeated canopy loss across multiple reporting periods?
So we do work very closely with MOCEJ again to look at the canopy growth and then canopy loss. And so in partnership with MOCEJ, where we are, frankly, at this point with our urban forest plan coming out soon, and in daily conversations together around this, that is where we continue to track that. And I'll look to our Chief Climate Officer to add more about that specific tracking.
Yeah, I really love this question because, and again, thank you to Council for passing the historic legislation that allowed us to do the urban forest plan. It really prompted us to do this kind of analysis that had never been done before. So the data that we cited from 2017 to 2021 is the most recent batch of information that we have, and that's the basis that we use to perform our analysis and to make our recommendations as we're developing them. But what we're also going to be doing is every 5 years, a LiDAR survey of our tree canopy coverage and making sure that we're taking stock on a regular, consistent basis of the canopy change over time. And so this is going to be data that we will now be able to have in our arsenal, and we'll be using that to make data-driven decisions about where is the most important places for prioritizing planting and where do we need to be focused on the most. So this will be coming up as part of our urban forest plan.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a couple more questions, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues. What neighborhoods in the city currently have the lowest tree canopy coverage and are most at risk of canopy loss? How does DPR choose areas for increased tree planting? What factors are used in that process? And what are examples of areas being targeted now?
So I'll kick it off and then I'll go to pass it over to our partners at MOCEJ. But as I mentioned before, we are now undergoing a full comprehensive neighborhood tree planting program where we are looking at every single plantable street in New York City and making sure that we are comprehensively planting in every place we can. That is something that we are committed to doing, and in 9 years' time, which I think is a very exciting and ambitious timeline, we will be able to say that we have assessed every single New York City block to make sure that they have as many plantable trees as possible. We are not doing this in a vacuum. We are using data-driven approaches, and particularly with our partners at MOCEJ and DOHMH, using their data on heat vulnerable neighborhoods, first and foremost prioritizing those who are most vulnerable to extreme weather and extreme heat. That's and you should see we've continuously shared that information with council offices, with community boards. So you should have additional information right now in your offices around where we're planting, where we're planning to plant. We're looking at additional messaging to come out because we want New Yorkers to be excited, and we want New Yorkers to be proud of the work that's being done. We want them to be excited about this living infrastructure that they get to have a relationship with. It's a little different to have a relationship with this living infrastructure versus like sewage or streets or sidewalks. It's a different relationship, and we want to embrace that. And so we're really excited about what we're doing. We're really excited about that growth, and happy to give you more information to your specific offices around when we're coming to your neighborhoods. When it comes to the other question around, I think, canopy and other portions, I'll look to MOCEJ.
Yeah, thank you. So in our analysis, we found that environmental justice areas that have historically borne the burden of environmental harms and pollution have a lower tree canopy coverage than non-environmental justice areas. So environmental justice areas average a 19% canopy coverage compared to 26% in non-environmental justice neighborhoods. And the areas that have the lowest canopy within that are in Hunts Point in the Bronx, Rockaway Beach, Arvern and Edgemere in Queens, and in Sunset Park in Brooklyn. And so those are neighborhoods that we really want to focus on. I mentioned in my previous response the areas that have seen the biggest losses, primarily Eastern Queens and our waterfront communities that have been very affected by coastal storms. And so between those areas with lowest canopy coverage and those areas that have seen the biggest losses, we are going to be looking at how we can increase tree plantings there, take care of the trees that already exist, and make sure that we're doing that in line with our goals on equity.
Thank you. I just want to switch gears just a little bit. What is the approximate budget currently allocated for overall tree maintenance for FY26, and how is that funding split across major categories of tree maintenance work, if tracked?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So we have our current FY26 budget includes roughly $37 million in OTPS, which is just non-salary for those who may not know that, for the care and maintenance of our existing street trees and trees and landscape parks. And then to dial down into that, we also have approximately 250 active staff dedicated to caring for our trees, both in streets and in our landscape parks. That includes around 60 foresters and 90 climbers and pruners.
Thank you. Switching gears one more time, and then I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues. Sorry, colleagues. I'm coming. The recent storm that we had, I know you mentioned in your testimony that park staff were assigned to work and assist in cleanup. Were any park staff assigned particularly to shovel and or clean non-parks property or public right-of-way areas during the recent snow response? And if so, how many staff members were assigned and what were their job classifications?
Thank you so much for your question. I love this question because it gives me an opportunity to publicly thank again the incredible work that our park staff did, not just through this most recent storm, but in every storm. Parks is a 365-day operation. So in extreme heat, we are out there in our pools, beaches, and our parks providing incredible services. Our recreation centers are cooling centers. We do so much, but also in extreme cold, in extreme winter weather, we are also out there. Our park staff dedicates our entire maintenance and operation team towards snow removal. And we have a very robust winter weather response plan that gets put out every year that prioritizes perimeter sidewalks, that prioritizes crosswalks, prioritizes high traffic areas in our parks, JOPs, jointly operated playgrounds, to make sure that those are also clear. After that, we go through a number of other spaces, but yes, we are deeply involved in snow removal. And we do, as part of that winter weather plan, as built into our operations, dedicate additional staff to our partner agencies at DSNY to help with that clearance. And we also dedicate some portion of vehicles to them. Our mayor recently visited our Randall's Island garage during the storm to see that park staff are churning out and fixing our vehicles, fixing vehicles for other sister agencies all throughout the night, throughout these storms, to make sure that we can deliver safe streets to all New Yorkers. And that includes sidewalks that are a part of our responsibility because they're adjacent to parkland. Our foresters in this most recent storm, our forestry unit, played an incredibly important role. As I mentioned in my testimony, we had 1,800 service requests come in through 311 with New Yorkers reporting down trees, down limbs that were blocking streets, that were on top of private property, that were needing to be addressed. And I am so proud of my team, including our forestry unit that's represented here today, for what they did to respond to that storm in a very quick and efficient way. We convened the Down Trees Task Force, which is helped run by our partners at New York City Emergency Management. As part of the task force, FDNY, NYPD, sanitation all serve on that task force, where we are tracking in live time, real time, where we see down trees, making sure that we're prioritizing getting those trees out of the streets so that emergency vehicles can get there, and then on top of that, then taking trees and limbs off of properties, and then continuing to move down that list. From the most recent storm, we had over 1,000 work orders created. I want to again shout out my forestry team and the parks teams that came out and cleared all of those streets within 72 hours of the storm's end. And we are just about getting finished with all of those work orders to date. Some of the last ones that we have on our list are really related to extra utilities work that needs to get done, or other kind of coordination that needs to get done. But overall, I'm incredibly proud of the role that Parks plays. Parks is a part of the sort of emergency response when it comes to these storms. And while we looked in very much in partnership with Nycc, with DSNY, with DOT, I'm very proud of the work that our staff does. And I know that many of them are listening in today. I know that many of them look very closely at hearings like this. So I want to give them their shout out and say thank you tremendously for the work that they did across the city, because no part of the city was not affected by that storm.
I also want to say thank you to them as well. Just as a follow-up, particularly for the city parks workers that were assigned to shovel and or clear non-parks property, was their rate of pay consistent with that of the emergency snow shovelers who were hired per diem to clear public areas such as the bus stops, crosswalks, and fire hydrants?
I'll have to get back to you specifically on that. I can only speak for our staff, so I don't know intimately the rate of pay for other workers at other agencies or how that works. We're happy to get back to you on that, but I will say that we understand that snow shoveling is a part of our responsibilities. We are when you look at our parkland, specifically our landscaped parks. The sidewalk includes that's our property, and we are responsible for clearing that. We understand that New Yorkers, many of them drive, but many of them walk. They take the buses, they bike to work, and so we take that responsibility very seriously. And it's not something that I would ever look to kind of move to another agency exclusively, because those are our sidewalks. We take a lot of pride in them. During the storm, I myself went out to visit with teams. I myself helped clear a couple bus shelters and some crosswalks with those teams. It's a big job that I'm very proud that our team takes on, and I'm very proud of the partnership that we have with other agencies.
Given that partnership, and we definitely understand and appreciate parks lending a hand to sister agencies. But in doing that, how is fairness assessed in the labor impact of assigning park staff to assist in areas that really aren't Parks property?
Sure. I think that when it comes to our approach here, it really is looking at one city and looking at not through the boundaries of this is Parks' job, this is DOT's job, this is DSNY's job, this is somebody else's job. Really and truly, we're looking at the lived experience of New Yorkers. We're making sure that when New Yorkers wake up after a snowstorm, when they're trying to get their kids to school, when they're trying to get to their jobs where they don't have the luxury of working from home or staying in on a snow day, that they can actually do that job. And so my goal as commissioner of this agency is to make sure, yes, to fight for my team, yes, to highlight the work that they do, but ultimately to make sure that we can serve New Yorkers, so that New Yorkers don't have to say, well, this is DOT's job and this is New York Parks' job when they step up here, and this is another contractor's job. That ultimately New Yorkers just see clear sidewalks. That ultimately they are just able to get to their jobs, get to their kids, get to the groceries, and come home safely. So I would just say that our team knows how much our job expands beyond the parks. We are always there to answer the call. We are always there to step up, and I'm so proud of the efforts that came in. Not only were they out, was our park staff out early in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, overnight. Our park staff stayed in rec centers overnight to make sure that they could be there the next morning. They showed up early. They were very much in lock and partnership with our colleagues at DSNY, because ultimately it's not about jurisdiction. It's about serving the city with comprehensive services.
And as we appreciate that willingness, were they compensated for the time that they spent overnight in rec centers?
We yes for this last one, we provided overtime. We provided overtime, a code that was used throughout the city for that service.
Thank you. I'm going to come back in the next round with more questions. I want to mention that we've been joined by the former chair, Councilmember Krishnan, as well as Councilmember Fiorina Sanchez on Zoom. And I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Banks.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your first committee hearing. And to the Commissioner, congratulations on your appointment. These are obviously district-centered questions, because, when I think about the forestry unit, there's some frustration there with my constituents. And I just want to, get straight to this. When it comes to the 42nd Council District, can you give us a number as to currently how many maintenance or there overdue tree maintenance pruning that exists, or what exists as far as the amount of blocks that are needed to be
Sure.
pruned?
Yeah, Councilmember, thank you. It's lovely to meet you, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in your 42nd Council District. I
Oh,
will just
thank
warn you that I'm going to probably have to get back to you with more specific information on your council district, and we're happy to, but I want to point out a couple additional resources that we have available to you and to all of your constituents. So first of all, we just came out in the last 2 years with our Vital Parks Explorer. It's on our website, where your constituents can look based on their community board district and I
Right.
believe on their council district, for all sorts of services that and the closeness of those services. I don't believe that the Vital Parks Explorer goes into that level of detail around where we're tree pruning, but we're happy to give you an
Yeah,
update
if
as to
we can
where
get a
exactly you
breakdown.
are with
Yeah.
that breakdown. What I will say is that overall, because constituents across the city can put in a request for a tree-related concern through 311. This information is fairly dynamic. We saw just in the last storm that 1,800 number that came in,
Right.
so it's always a little bit of a moving list. I will say that also we look at tree pruning versus sidewalk concerns in slightly different buckets. We have a 7-year cycle for tree pruning.
Okay.
So every year within within the city, within 7 years, you should expect that all of your trees in 7 years are pruned. That's according to
So
industry
it's a
standards.
7 year. Okay.
Yes. So
Well,
1 in 7.
right. And how many open 311 tree service requests, pruning pertains to pruning, removal, emergency, are outstanding in my particular district?
And again, for your particular district,
Would
we'll
it?
have to get you that specific information. For in terms of, I think what you're asking about is really the sort of outstanding, you may have heard about some
Correct.
outstanding like backlog of service requests
I was
for.
going to get to that in the next question.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
happy to jump there if you'd like, but really it comes back the where you see is we tend to rate tree and sidewalk repairs on a 1 to 100 kind of scale. And in those 1 to 100 scale, we look to using a tree risk management approach of understanding kind of the severity of where we see trip hazards, or we see broken sidewalks, or we see potentially falling limbs and that sort of thing. And we really look at that where we look to address the most extreme, most dangerous situations
Right.
first. And within that time, and I'll look to our assistant commissioner to speak more to this, I believe that our response rate is within 7 days. Then
Okay.
from there, we go to our slightly less, but still very serious concerns, where they're in that 90 to 80, 90 range. I'm sorry, 90 to 90 range, where we are looking to respond to those within 14 days. Where we do see a significant backlog is where you see that kind of mid-level, still concerning range of, I think, 60 to 75
Right.
in that rating scale, where we do see a significant backlog. And so that's where we do have, I believe it's, I'll look to our assistant commissioner to give those specific numbers, but I do want to emphasize that for those most severe situations, we are looking to respond to those within a week's time.
Okay. And when it comes to quality assurance standards, do the forestry inspectors use when determining that a tree is in good or fair condition? I know that's normally the rating they get, especially when elected officials provide photos showing, trees being damaged or protruding onto, private property. Uh, how often are inspectors paid to review or audit, and what percentage of these cases are overturned after a second review is done once a rating has been given?
Sure. I'm going to pass it over to our assistant commissioner to go into those details for you.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Banks, for that question. As the commissioner mentioned, when we inspect trees, we take a tree risk management approach, which
Right.
is what you're alluding to. And that's a very systematic methodology that's based on an industry standard that we've developed into a prioritization system to allow us to get to the most significant tree conditions first. So that looks at the entire tree. Our inspectors look at the likelihood of a tree or any part of that tree, failing or falling, the likelihood of that impacting people or property, and the consequences of that event should it happen, right? Like, how big is that tree? How big is that branch?
So when
Yes.
when there's a rating that has
Yes.
been done, after I guess the first inspector comes out,
Sure.
what is the quality assurance? Is there a second review that's done? Because we've had situations where inspectors have come out, and they said it's no work is needed, but the pictures clearly show that there's a need for work to be done on that particular tree.
Sure.
So what's in place or to overturn that review so the constituent can get the good service?
Sure. Yeah. So, our inspectors are performing thousands and thousands of inspections every single year, right? So not every single inspection is reviewed or evaluated. If a concern is brought to our attention, the attention of management, they will take another look, and we don't track the number of times an inspection result is changed. It does happen from time to time. In terms of quality assurance, we are working, we're a citywide operation, and although our foresters are primarily based in one borough or another, we do from time to time take foresters from one location to another and cross-train so that they're kind of, sharing their knowledge, sharing their expertise, so that one inspector isn't kind of pigeonholing themselves
Okay.
into a result. But I appreciate the question. We do review
Right.
these concerns when they're raised, but we don't.
So have a review has there been have you overturned an inspector when an inspector or rating has been given? Has it ever been overturned by your agency?
Yeah, it
Oh,
happens
your
from time
unit?
to time.
Okay. So, and this is another specific district-specific question. Parks and Green Thumb have inspected trees on a concerned resident's Barbie Street garden, which is a Green Thumb. That's the site is planned to be included in a pruning contract currently out for bid, with anticipated work in the summer of 2026. Parks had advised the homeowner to file a controller complaint for damage on the property and noted that additional street trees are scheduled for planting nearby. Question: has the Parks Forestry or Green Thumb physically visited this site recently to review the current tree status, including the roof contact? And this is particularly dealing with a property, and I have it through an exhibit that we created where the house is actually, you can see this is the tree right here, and it's actually leaning on the house. And it's a green thumb that is basically on the side of the house.
Yeah.
And it seems like the resident is not getting the service that's needed after they've taken multiple pictures to show to forestry, and nothing has been done.
Sure. Well, first of all, I will thank you for bringing it to our attention. We'll certainly take any sort of photos that you want to share with us or any sort of contact information, and we can certainly take a look at this. And I'll just say with our green thumb team, this is a really hands-on group of a unit within our agency. We are constantly out. They are constantly out in our community gardens across the city. They're very much working very
Right.
closely with the partners on the ground. So I'm sure that this is on their radar, but I'm happy to take it back and to
Yeah.
look into this.
We
One thing I
need some
wanna
work really done.
emphasize,
It's
of course.
being on the radar is one thing, but getting it done is the
Sure.
next thing. So we really need because we constantly get complaints from constituents on this issue, and I don't know if it's a budgetary issue, a lack of manpower, but these trees are causing damage to residents' properties, and we're constantly hearing about the complaints are being made, but nothing's being done. So I want to move on to this question. Given the unresolved issues, Parks recently proceeded with plans to plant an additional tree adjacent to this particular property before the existing problem was dealt with. So I want to understand how's that done? If a resident's complaining that a tree is doing damage to their property, and then the next couple of days they wake up and then there's another tree planted,
Yeah.
what's the priority here?
Sure. The priority is most definitely to, of course, serve New Yorkers. So, very much so the priorities, but
Right.
the kind of devil's in the details, right? So we want to plant in every plantable area possible in our city, and I'm frankly very happy to hear that. That means that we're hitting at least one of your streets on the higher list within that 9-year cycle that we're
Right.
looking at. So I'm happy to hear that some of your constituents are getting to see that early on. So one, we are planting, but two, of course, we are also pruning the existing trees. And we mentioned before in our testimony that ultimately our prioritization has to go down from like the most extreme loss of life sort of concerns around dangerous situations, and then we work our way down. It sounds like in this situation, although I'm happy to look into it further personally, is that it sounds like we're in procurement to get that tree pruning contract done,
Right.
which is a good sign. That means that it's coming soon. But the folks who are doing the tree pruning are not necessarily the folks who are doing the planting. We have different teams who are doing that. So that's why you would see some work being done on planting and some work being done on pruning, and not necessarily at the same time. Again, I would say that that's a good thing. That means that we don't have just one team that's doing it all, that your constituents can see some work that's being done on their tree beds, on new plantings in the area. But that certainly does not mean that we are forgetting about the work that needs to get done on pruning. Like I said, we're happy to take it back. It always goes back to that prioritization of like safety. And so we do kind of have looked at that. And of course, those things, as Ben has said, that can change. This is living infrastructure. A snowstorm, a windstorm, things like that can change the situation. So we're happy to take a second look.
Okay, now when it comes to tree work permits and private hire options, when the parks suggest that residents may hire a private company to prune a city tree, is there any viable pathway for reimbursement?
I think that I believe that that may have to be looked at with the comptroller's office, depending on the exact situation. I'm looking to our assistant commissioner Ben Osborne to share with that if that's correct. Just want to make sure I'm correct with that kind of pathway.
Yeah, that is my understanding. If there's an expense incurred to a property owner due to damage from a city tree to their property, the controller would be the best place to address those types of questions.
Okay, and the last question, and I guess I'll come back in the second round if
I just don't want to make everybody
if I
jealous,
may.
you know?
Oh, sorry. My last question, and I'll come back in the second round. Is that okay? Chair? Does the parks maintain a list of pre-approved vendors or certified arborists for residents to use?
We do not recommend private contractors.
Okay.
There's the potential for conflicts of interest there. However, we do recommend that people look at the qualifications of a contractor they may hire, and the International Society of Arboriculture provides, the internationally recognized credentialing for that type of work.
Thank you, Chair, for your indulgence.
Sorry, if I could just really quickly interject and just clarify that the tree work permit is completely free of charge, right? So the advice and the consultation that's provided by the agency, that expertise, is available to the public and the folks they hire, completely free of charge.
Thank you. Before we move to the next council member, I just want to mention to my colleagues, only because this seemingly was a highly anticipated hearing, we're going to institute the clock at this point, giving each member 5 minutes, because we also want to hear from our advocates as well.
And excuse me, Chair, I just want to make mention, just because it's sitting in my mind, that your question about overtime for our recent storm, I just want to get back to you with final confirmation on what overtime was covered. We've been changing some of the systems around this, and so before I think I said it was, I just want to triple confirm that with you. So we'll get back to you
That'd
on
be
exactly
great.
the overtime that was covered.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Councilmember Salam.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Commissioner. Just a few questions here on health and inspections. DPR tree inspection program and local laws 20 and 59 of 2022 and 2025 have laid out frameworks for prioritizing and maintaining the health of street trees. Can you elaborate on how these regulations are being implemented and monitored to ensure the health of trees in all 5 boroughs? And how does DPR ensure that these trees are inspected on time, and what improvements are being made to address the backlog or delays in pruning and maintenance?
Sure. First of all, I just want to say that it's my understanding that both of these local laws was done in partnership with our agency. So on behalf of our agency, thank you for continuing to work with us on thinking through ways that we can systematize and improve services to New Yorkers, particularly with our tree canopy. I will look to our assistant commissioner to give you an update on specifically how those implementation of those local laws is going. But I will just say that our blocked pruning program, which again looks to prune every single New York City street tree within a 7-year cycle, is really where we're looking at the gold standard. It is industry standard to do so, and so you can tell your constituents and you just understand that all of our trees we're looking to prune on that 7-year cycle. But I'll look to our assistant commissioner to give you more specific updates on those two pieces of legislation.
Excuse me. Thank you for the question. And as far as Local Law 59 of 2025, that specifically requires the Parks Department to incorporate a system for evaluating building clearance prune requests into our existing tree risk management protocol. So we have developed the framework for those inspections, and we're putting the finishing touches on the technology that will allow us to perform those inspections and record the data. This will provide a standard where there previously had not been a precise standard for evaluating these types of requests, and working any work orders that result into our existing prioritization of work orders. And we expect to be fully compliant with the legislation when it goes into effect in May.
Thank you. The neighborhood tree planting program aims to address heat vulnerable neighborhoods and increase canopy coverage to 30%. How does DPR track the progress of this initiative, and how can the council ensure all communities, especially those with lower tree density, are adequately served?
Thank you for your question. Our neighborhood tree planting program, the comprehensive approach that I referenced earlier in my testimony, was directly kind of grown out of the target for us to plant in heat vulnerable neighborhoods and to complete those plantings of HVI 4 and 5 by the end of 2027. And so certainly we are tracking this very closely because we want to ensure that we reach that mark, that by the end of 2027, we have fully planted in HVI 4 and 5. But from there, we have, as we've discussed, we've seen such success with this targeted, comprehensive approach that we are looking to expand and make sure that that tree planting work gets done on a comprehensive level within 9 years' time. I do believe, because it has to do with canopy and because this is very important to us, looking at that 30% number, that this is in close partnership also with our sister agency at MOCEJ. So I'm going to look to our climate officer to see if she'd like to add anything to that.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Council Member, for that question. As I think I mentioned in an earlier response, part of our work with the Urban Forest Plan is also to make sure that we have good systems of accountability in place to make sure that we are doing exactly that, tracking our progress and making sure we understand the changes in our tree canopy over time. So what that will look like is every 5 years we will be doing a LiDAR survey that basically covers all citywide, all of the areas citywide, to do a very detailed stock take of all of the different trees, the species, the canopy size. And so the data that we looked at to inform our plan analysis was for the 5-year period of 2017 to 2021. And now going forward, we'll have that 5-year analysis as a consistent way to benchmark our progress. So we definitely want to make sure that we're using data-driven approaches and to reach those equity goals that the Commissioner mentioned.
Thank you. And lastly, regarding the storm and risk mitigations, in light of the increased frequency of extreme weather events, how is DPR's attempting its tree care programs to ensure that trees are resilient against storms, hurricanes, and blizzards? For instance, how does DPR prepare for the impact of snowstorms like the one that we just experienced this past February 2026, which resulted in significant tree damage? And can you share the details about DPR's emergency response system in the aftermath of severe weather, including response times and the current readiness for tree damage restoration?
Of course. So I will just say that while it would seem that we could do a lot to prepare for storms like this, like we just experienced, ultimately trees are susceptible to any type of weather, and can the tree issues that come up can come up for a number of different reasons. The only way that the best, I guess, offense that we have in these situations is through regular pruning. That is the industry standard, but even so, you could see a newly planted tree that ultimately falls and fails due to extreme weather. You can see a larger tree ultimately, as you probably saw in the news, fail because of extreme weather. That doesn't really make a difference. What we see, though, is that with regular pruning, that can be the best offense that we provide, and that's why we are committed to pruning on a 7-year cycle. That's industry standard in order to make sure that those trees are regularly pruned and able to withstand this type of like extreme weather. In addition to that, we do have a whole winter weather response plan that is formed every year that we follow through on, that I referenced earlier, in terms of how we plow, how we clear snow. We also have the Down Trees Task Force, which gets activated when we see blizzard conditions coming up, and we are in extremely close communication with our partners at Nycc and other sister agencies as the storm kind of is gearing up, so that we're ready to go when once the storm ends and we can get to work.
Thank you. We're going to move over to Councilmember Marte.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to say congratulations, Commissioner. I'm so excited to have you in this new role as Borough Commissioner. You were literally the best. You showed up
you.
almost in every
Thank
single
you.
part of my district, and so I'm sure a lot of the garden activists and park activists are excited about your tenure as Commissioner. So congratulations. I've been looking at the map during this meeting, and I want to say like what you guys have said is actually correct. You've been focusing mostly on environmental justice communities as part of the initial phases of your plan. So it's great to see large parts of the Lower East Side and Chinatown in my district as part of that first phase. My question is in regards to a lot of the resiliency projects that we have downtown. There are commitments made for a fund to help plant trees to mitigate some of the trees that were lost during construction and demolition of East River Park. Would this phasing approach uh, stop the planting of trees in that area that were supposed to be committed to by parks on a timely basis, or how do you juggle previous commitments of planting compared to this new holistic phasing strategy that you have?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question, and thank you for your ongoing partnership. Let me just say from the top that no one takes more seriously the loss of healthy trees than our agency. Before any plan goes before a community board and gets presented to you or any other public body, we closely pressure test and truly debate behind closed doors the merits and what is lost when we lose one of our healthy trees. As I mentioned before, we have a serious mandate to get to 30% canopy, and we know that planting new trees is wonderful and a part of that plan, but taking care of the trees that we have, those adult mature trees that provide so much canopy, that's the only way that we're going to get to 30%. And so we take the loss of healthy trees extremely seriously. Now, we are doing our comprehensive planting plan, but I believe that when it comes to other projects, like what you're maybe referencing with our East Side Coastal Resiliency Project or other things like that, those I believe are on separate timeframes, and so separate projects. This is what we're doing kind of through our maybe bread and butter of forestry planting team. But on top of that, when it comes to these other commitments made, we have those, I believe, on a separate time frame. I'm going to look to Matt Drury from our team to give us a little bit more detail there.
Sure.
But ultimately, that loss of trees is something, and I hope your constituents know this personally, but it bears repeating, is something that we take very seriously.
Yeah, just if I can help clarify, the neighborhood tree planting program that the commissioners described, and as you mentioned with the planned time frame, that is focused on street tree planting, and so any effort sort of for a park improvement project, capital project, as the commissioner mentioned, we look for every opportunity to minimize any impacts on trees to our existing that are within our parks. But if and when it is necessary, obviously, replacement well over and above what's removed is certainly always the plan. And additionally, through any capital renovation project, we're always looking for opportunities. It is actually built into our landscape design process that our capital division team leads to look for planting opportunities within that park or playground or sitting area or what have you. So the short answer is I think we can reach out to our partners at DDC and others to get you an update in terms of that timeline and those efforts, because that is sort of separate and apart from the neighborhood tree planting program.
I think specifically there was a commitment to plant trees throughout the Lower East Side because of the park being under construction.
Yes, and to address that specifically, that commitment is being worked into our neighborhood tree planting plan. It's not being replaced by our neighborhood tree planting plan.
Okay, I would just love the follow up on timing because there are some areas around East River Park that look like they're in phase 3, and so that means they won't get the tree until much later than expected.
Absolutely, we can follow up with you on timing.
All right, thank you so much.
We're going to jump to Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you very much. I want to congratulate the climate, whatever the hell your title is, whatever, Chief Climate Officer and the Commissioner of Parks. They're both fabulous. Okay, so I have 4 questions. I'll go them and then you can decide how to answer. The first is just how many trees, I think you said there are 1,800 that service requests that came down in the recent storm. So and 2 of them on my block, so I'm very familiar with this issue. So I have 2 questions. How many weather-related in 2.5, sort of similar, so I can get a sense of how many trees were either down or there were complaints? And then second, just in terms of those that did get the service requests, in some cases, I guess it's a huge branch. That's what happened in my area. And then the whole street is full of branches and, pain in the neck neighbors who call 311 every 5 minutes. So how is that sanitation or you who cleans up? That's question number one, and then including the data. Number two, just like you, I am a tree hugger. So I want to say, that's why we have so many people here today. But we have tree care clinics, we even just put it in our recent newsletter, constantly. So we do feel very strongly about tree care, because you can't have a new tree and not have somebody caring for it. And I think you sort of said that, but I would say that very, very loudly. Number three, we have a letter that was sent before your term, August 25, 23 council members signed. I do not like this program that you like so much. And I'll tell you why. I have 4 years, 38 of us have 4 years, 9 years and 4 years do not compute in terms of getting our trees planted. So the political calendar does not fit with the tree calendar. So that's got to fit better. So my question is how we can do a parallel process, because I understand that some areas have not had trees and you got floods and blah, blah, blah. So we need a parallel process, I think, to work on. So I want to know what that would cost, because I mean, literally, if you want to pick the most popular topic in the city of New York, it is street trees. So the question is how much it would cost. Now, I have some numbers. For an area, my area, for 2 years, 79 street trees, plus taking out the stumps, cost $250,000. So take 250,000, 79, and multiply that times all the trees needed. What is the number that you actually need to do a parallel or faster process than this 9-year thing that everybody I know hates, just so you know? And then the issue of local law 84 of 2013 that we put into, and this is climate related, we put into that planning process, and I think you're saying that trees are part of air and water and all the issues regarding climate, and I think that's correct. I just want to double check. Those are my 4 questions.
Great. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do all of them save for one, and then pass that one to MOCEJ.
Okay.
I think that last one
Yes,
for you,
hers.
but okay. So let me just the easy one at first is that the 1800 number that we referenced in the recent storm of 311 complaints. All of those were storm-related complaints.
For this recent
for
storm?
just this recent storm.
Okay.
Now, there were some duplicates, so ultimately that resulted in 1,200 inspections that needed to come place. So there were some duplicates, and from those 1,200, we had 47 downed trees in streets. So those were our top priority. Get those streets clear, make sure that emergency vehicles can go through. And then I believe 9 were large trees or limbs that fell onto property, and those were our next priority.
Because those 47 will not be replaced unless it's within the, whatever location.
Yeah, we would be looking to plant those within our tree planting plan.
Okay,
So
that's the thing we don't like.
I'll
Okay,
go
go
to
ahead.
that one next.
Yes.
And of course within our season, so we wouldn't be planting anything right now.
No,
until
I
we get
understand.
closer.
I got that part.
So I mean, I definitely hear you on the 9-year time
Right.
frame. I am very proud of us for looking at the larger picture here.
I
But
agree.
I understand the frustrations around 9 years being too long of a time. So what I can tell you is that we are constantly looking at ways that we can speed this up. We are constantly trying to hold ourselves accountable for not being stuck in a system that it just is because it's always been this way, and instead are trying to
I understand.
look creatively at this. So
I call it the parallel process.
I will certainly look into your suggestion, but I will point out that it's not just about planting new trees. So that $250,000 number, what I'd point out is that what we're doing is it's planting trees plus. It's expanding those tree beds. It's taking out those
The
stumps. it's
250
doing that
included
other
all
piece.
that. The 250,000 included all of that, just so you know.
Okay, so we'll
All
take a
every bit
look.
of it.
And then one more, and then I'll pass over to my colleagues at MOCEJ. But thank you for being a tree hugger. Thank you for being a tree lover. What I'd say is that you can actually still get involved in addition to hosting stewardship events, which I know that you do. We are still in the process of doing our decennial tree count. So if your office would like to host a tree count event where we're counting trees, categorizing trees,
I only want
we
to
can do
count them
that.
if they're going to be planted.
That's not-
Otherwise, I do not want to count
we
them.
are certainly planting, but we'd
I'm
love
just
to have
saying.
your participation. And then
All right,
I'll
go
pass
ahead.
over to
And then, sorry, just quickly, you mentioned about tree debris, and I'll just clarify that that is a shared responsibility between DSNY and parks following serious storms. tree just along with leaf and yard waste can be left out as part of the city's organic recycling program for sure. Obviously, sometimes there are larger limbs. And
These
that's
are
something that we
huge
work jointly
limbs,
with.
huge limbs. So that would be,
Yeah, those would be 311 requests that are tracked, and then I guess those
somebody will figure
I
it
know
out.
you love your parallel paths. That's something that both DSNY and Parks sort of we coordinate for sure, but those are sort of jointly responsible, I would say.
Okay.
And thank you, Councilmember, for your question about trees and the role that they play in addressing our climate crisis. So in 2025, thank you for Councilmember support in passing Local Law 149, which amended the comprehensive climate and sustainability plans. That did make sure that trees are part of that mandate. As many of us have mentioned here today, trees are a really critical aspect of how we address climate change. They provide heat resiliency and necessary shade during heat waves. They capture stormwater. They clean our air. They're better for our mental health. They're better for our quality of life. And so we are really excited to make sure that trees are an integral part of our green
All right,
infrastructure.
thank you. The only thing I need, not now, is the total cost it would cost to do every single vacant tree pit plus stump removal. What is the total cost? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I want to acknowledge Councilmembers Lee and Ressler, who we've been joined by. And now I want to go over to Brooklyn, Councilmember Narcisse.
Thank you. Like Gail, I love trees and it's a necessity for me. So first, congratulations.
Thank you.
And with all that, I want to say, because what are the primary reasons for the delay of pruning? I heard both of my colleagues are talking about it. Is this staffing shortage, contractor capacity, or budget constraint, or something else? Because it's a problem in my community.
Sure. Thank you so much for your question. I would just say that one, there is such a thing as too much pruning, as my husband always reminds me, because I tend to pick too many things off of our home plants. But it also is something that we've already been committed to pruning at every 7 years. And so I would suggest that actually is still meeting the industry standard. We typically don't prune any more than that, just because then we start to risk the health of the tree. So every 7 years, you should see your trees pruned. That is what we're meeting, the mark that we're meeting, and we're doing so primarily through enlisting contractors to help us do that kind of neighborhood block pruning. Anything that's specialty, anything that's a little bit more of an emergency situation, anything that's requiring additional assistance, that's where you see our in-house team go in there, because we have that expertise, we have that skill set that we're able to address some of those more specific conditions. But your typical pruning, your constituents should see us in their neighborhoods every 7 years, which is industry standard.
Some of them goes beyond the 7 years, but anyway,
If you'd like, I can add just a little bit to that, which is that through our tree risk management approach, those requests that we receive for pruning in between that 7-year cycle, those requests are evaluated. They're ranked according to priority category A through D, with A being the most urgent, and those work orders in priority categories A through B we respond to within 7 or 28 days respectively, 99% of the time. So the most urgent conditions are addressed very quickly. We understand that there are other conditions that are
there's other
that
conditions.
are real conditions
Yeah.
that we don't get to as quickly as some people would like.
So my office receives a lot of calls on those trees because as we have so many trees. But I would have another question too. After Sandy, we lost so many trees, but I haven't seen that replacement yet. We're talking about since 2012. So I want to know where we are. That's a private conversation because we need trees in our community. So I have some of the trees, right? The resident complains about them. There's a hazard. We can tell they're hazard, right? But yet when the park come to inspect them, they always find them in fair conditions. And when we have a storm, sure enough, they will fall down and damage, which is, we call it penny wise, dollar foolish. We should push to fix that so we don't spend more money at the end. Can you explain how parks define fair condition? What metrics that you use? What's the process? Because you say fair condition, but my eye is telling me this is crazy.
Absolutely. So I want to address the first part of your question, and then I'll look to our assistant commissioner to talk through the details. And what I'll say is that I'm so grateful for your question because I want you to be able to articulate to your constituents what rating system is used and the industry standards that we're using so that everybody can understand the same metrics that we're using. It's really important to me. And when it comes to planting, we will absolutely are happy to make sure that we get you a schedule of when your plantings are coming into your district. We want your constituents to be excited about this. We want them to see that we're delivering for you and this neighborhood. So we're happy to come back to you with that. But I'm going to look to Ben to give you very specifics around what fair means.
And when a tree come out or fell, whatever the reason, when do we get another one, the replacement? Do we replace them automatically or something that, yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So I'll respond to that last question first, and then go back to your question about fair condition. So as the commissioners described, our neighborhood tree planting program, that is the primary driver of the time frame for when we are planting trees. So it will depend on exactly where that tree is, on what block it is, in terms of when it would be replaced. There's not a specific time based on when a tree is removed or fails. In terms of what we mean when we say a tree is in fair condition and how that affects what is going to happen, that's just a very qualitative description. If somebody calls about a tree and they're concerned about the safety from that tree, we look at the entire tree. We look at whether it has any dead branches, any decay, poor structural issues, and each of those potential issues is given a full risk assessment that looks at the likelihood of that tree or part failing, the likelihood of it falling onto people or property, and the consequences should that occur. And that gives a risk rating for that condition. Now, if the tree's in fair condition and we see a branch that has a risk rating that determines work should be done, we're going to prune that tree. We'll schedule it for pruning. If the tree's in poor condition and we see similar types of problems, we may consider removing the tree instead. So I realize that it's a little bit confusing, this kind of fair, good, poor condition, because that's not determining whether or not work is performed. It may be driving the type of work we decide to do. So I think we could be a little bit more clear about that in our communications.
And since my time is coming to wrap, what are the eligibility requirements for the trees and sidewalk program? And are there plans to expand it so homeowners don't have to pay out of pocket when the roots cause sidewalk damage? And especially, I have a lot of seniors in my community that are living on tight budget. So what can we do?
Sure. So yeah, we understand this is something we hear about with frequency, right? So the tax class 1 properties in New York City are eligible for the Trees and Sidewalks program if the roots of a tree under parks jurisdiction have damaged the sidewalk. So those are 1 to 3 family residential properties. When we receive a request for that program, we perform a rating. We send an inspector who performs a rating that's based on the size and number and health of the existing trees, the extent and severity of a tripping hazard that may be present, and generators of foot traffic in the area, subway stations, churches, schools, etc. And that all rolls up into a rating that may be up to 100, anywhere from 1 to 100. It's a very popular program, and the resources are limited. So with the current funding levels that we have, we're able to repair sites that are rated 90 and higher across the city, and depending on the number of sites in a given area, some sites that are rated lower. And we acknowledge that leaves some legitimate issues unaddressed. It's important to note, however, that property owners are not liable for in these cases for tripping hazards resulting from the roots of city trees, and the city is not holding those property owners financially responsible. Should they receive a violation for other defects on their sidewalk from DOT, any portion damaged by the tree, DOT would not assess the property owner for, and they would not issue a violation only for root damage from city trees, and our program is free. So while this is a real concern, property owners are not liable for these conditions, and nobody is forcing them to be financially responsible.
Thank you. And Madam Commissioner, again, congratulations. And I hope we can improve in the construction when it comes to parks. That's another story, so we'll talk. Thank you.
All right. Really briefly, while we still have quorum, I'm going to jump to Southern Brooklyn to Councilmember Santososo, who's on Zoom.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much first of all, thank you so much, Chair, and thank you to the commissioners for being here today. Congratulations as well. I I want to just start by saying I have the experience of being someone who has dealt with forestry issues from the perspective of working in a council member's office and being a council member, but also someone who worked at the law department and was a tort division attorney where I handled some of the cases that result from things like fallen branches or when suits are brought against the city and homeowners for sidewalks that are lifted by tree roots. So I bring that dual perspective. So I'm going to be mostly talking about tree maintenance in my questions, and a little bit about sort of the costs at every step. My understanding, based on data that was given to me by New Yorkers for Parks, and maybe you said this in your testimony, I'm sorry if I missed it, but is that NYC Parks has a backlog of more than 20,000 uninspected tree conditions and 35,000 unaddressed work orders. And while a new tree costs about $3,600 to plant and takes years to mature, so maintaining our existing maintaining our existing street trees is particularly important and also cost effective. And so I want to just first ask, I know you said that there are 60 foresters in the department. How many inspectors are there, or is that captured within the foresters number?
Sure. Hi, Councilmember. Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me okay. Thank you so much for your question. I'll just give some confirmation of some of the numbers that you referenced, and then I'll look to our Assistant Commissioner who oversees our forestry unit to give you confirmation on the exact staffing numbers. So yes, it is true. I've referenced it earlier too, that we do have a backlog of tree risk orders here. We have that backlog is around 34,000 tree risk work orders. We also have 17,000 uninspected service requests. That includes the kind of more of the trees and sidewalks program that you were referencing. Now, I will just say that while this backlog does exist, the requests that are come in are hopefully not all in that extreme high risk category. They're not the sort of situations where we would deem as an emergency situations. All of these requests that are coming in that have not been fully inspected have been screened at a high level to make sure that that we are still responding to those very serious, immediate emergency situations. Where we see this backlog exists is in those categories C and D level. So in the rating system that we use, it is those kind of more moderate level risks that are still very serious, but not those extreme emergencies. Now, I want to get to your other question around staffing. So I'm going to pass it over to our Assistant Commissioner to tell you the exact staffing levels.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember, for those questions. And just quickly on the numbers, one more thing. You referenced the cost of tree planting in fiscal year 2022. That the average cost for tree planting was $3,550. That's actually come down quite a bit. It is currently $2,900 citywide, so that's an 18% reduction. Actually, adjusted for inflation, that's 37% of a reduction. To your question about staffing, the 60 foresters we have, those are inspectors. However, we do have some people in other titles that serve in an inspection role as well. Some of our climber pruners perform inspections and supervisors and a handful of other people. But the bulk of our inspections are performed by those 60 foresters.
Understood. And so, and I just want to say, Commissioner, I totally appreciate that we prioritize complaints as they come in for the most urgent. But I think we get a lot on our end of C and D category complaints that, feel urgent to the constituent. And then sometimes when we have, an intense storm, result in the constituent calling our office and saying, well, I tried to put this limb that was hanging on Parks radar, but they said it wasn't going to be inspected until 2027. So if we're united in the goal of I mean, I guess that's the question is, would you all, in a perfect world where the funding was there, would you want to have more staff in order to conduct more inspections? Is the number of inspectors really what's holding the process up? Like what could we do to help you get to a place where, you know, you're not just your A and Bs, but your C and Ds were getting inspected with, you know, in a more timely manner?
Yes, thank you again for the question. Thank you. And yes, I will call it a partnership. I very much appreciate the continued advocacy. As lead of this agency, I will always welcome more resources. I will more is more in this case, but I will also say that I will also defend the work that our staff is continuing to do right now, because what they're doing with finite resources that we have is frankly incredible. And so I would
Understood.
always welcome more resources. I will also say that I think that we need to be responsible for looking critically at ourselves and at the processes we have. That's why this neighborhood tree planting approach came up, because we were looking critically. We have to look at internally at our own processes and question to ensure that we're being responsible and as resourceful as possible with the resources that we are given. So while I'm happy to talk about and happy to welcome additional resources, I'm also happy to do, I think, arguably the harder work of looking at ourselves retrospectively and trying to understand and question whether or not the processes that we're currently undergoing are still the best use of the resources that we have. And that's what we'll continue to do.
Commissioner
and I
and,
would
and
love-
council member, I'm sorry, we lost quorum. So we have to go off of the Zoom now. I'm sorry, council member.
Okay, that's okay. That's
All right.
okay. I have separate questions for part of my district. I will follow up individually. And again, congratulations and thanks for the time.
Absolutely. We look to follow up with you.
Councilmember Nurse.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your first hearing. And congratulations on your appointment, as you as well. I wanted to ask a question about just kind of like, I mean, I know under Mayor de Blasio, we had the Cool Neighborhoods plan, and I've never heard anything since about it. And just wondering, is that still something we're working towards? And if so, kind of what is a status, and, you know, are there target neighborhoods? You know, what would make a complete cool corridor, and how would New Yorkers know?
Sure. I'll just briefly say a few things from the parks perspective and look to our partners at MOCEJ. Thank you for the question. Parks play a pretty important role in overall the providing cooling centers and allowing for New Yorkers to get some relief from extreme heat. And we know last summer it was at least at one day 109 degrees on the ground, extremely dangerous. So I'll say that, of course, today in today's hearing, we're talking about trees and the cooling effect that tree canopy can play on buildings. And that is certainly what is beating the drum behind us as we look towards releasing the urban forest plan. But I will also say that we're very proud to be cooling centers at our rec centers. We're very proud to be providing cool relief at our beaches and pools. When we're not dealing with
But do you have,
emergencies,
just because of time,
sure.
what is your interaction in terms of filling in those corridors? Is there a strategic plan in terms of direction? But I have read I know about the program, so I know what pieces you all play. I'm more just looking for where we are.
It might be easiest for Commissioner Osborne to kind of characterize this, but I think in short, like I think you're talking about in terms of the tree related.
Yeah, the tree
component of it, right?
canopies for sure. Yeah,
totally understood.
Yeah.
I think there's sort of a transition where the goals and that are that were set out by Cool Neighborhoods are being achieved, and Commissioner Osborne can speak to that.
Yeah, in fact, Cool Neighborhoods was a de Blasio initiative, but it followed on an earlier kind of equity-focused initiative of Trees for Public Health, and that equity remains our kind of primary driver of how we focus our tree planting. And so Cool Neighborhoods is based on the DOH-MH's HVI index, right? The heat vulnerability index. And so we are still on target to complete the survey and planting of HVI 5 and 4, the two highest HVI areas throughout the city, by the end of 2027. So that's still the driver of our planting. Our neighborhood tree planting program is built around
Okay.
that.
And thank you for the question, Councilmember. It's good to see you again. I am really excited to make sure that in our new administration, we do have a very comprehensive approach to heat resiliency that looks across all different aspects of what it takes to make sure people can stay safe during heat waves. It includes, obviously, our tree canopy coverage and all the work that our Parks Department friends are doing, but it also includes our work with DOT to think about the public right-of-way. It includes thinking about outdoor cooling centers and how they pair with indoor cooling centers. As you know, I just started, but I rest assured I'm excited to be developing with my team what will be a comprehensive heat resiliency strategy and making sure that we can think very intentionally about how to make sure that our high heat vulnerable neighborhoods are safe.
Okay.
So look forward to getting back to you. On
Yeah,
that.
we'd love to just see where we are and how we can help achieve the targets. I know also how our discretionary pots can help you all help move those targets further along. So thank you for that. And that was really my only question. The final comment I have is, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you, Parks Commissioner. I have a Queens Park and I have Brooklyn Parks, and the discrepancy between how they are maintained is night and day. So my Queens Park, Highland Park, well maintained, has a whole crew. Obviously, it's a larger park, but my Brooklyn parks, I'm just constantly wanting more. And I really think that this administration needs to put money in our maintenance workers so that we have enough people to take care of our parks. These are public safety spaces. These are places for respite when people can't afford to turn on their AC. They need to be clean. They need to be safe. Trash needs to be picked up. Toilets need to be restocked. And frankly, sometimes that only happens when I make a personal call, and that cannot be the standard. So we really need the resources behind it this cycle, because it is a public safety measure. It's not just trees and loveliness. It's actually places where people are gathering, and I find the difference between the two unacceptable. So thank you. And I know we're working for it. I know you all are at the helm now, but it's an ongoing problem that doesn't seem to get relief.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Nobody, based on where they live, should be receiving any difference in services when it comes to our parks. So we look forward to working with you on that.
Thank you. We're going to go back to Queens. Councilmember Krishnan.
Thank you so much, Chair. First of all, congratulations, Chair, on a great first hearing, an important one too, and looking forward to many more. And good to see all the parks groups here as well. And congratulations, Commissioner, on your first hearing and your great work too. I unfortunately am out of time because I've got to run to another meeting at City Hall. But I'll turn my questions into comments, which is just to say, I appreciate very much all Parks' work and attention to this really important issue. I think you're hearing from all of us too, how critical the care is of street trees in our city. I do hope I understand also the importance of this organized plan, and I do see the merit to it too. One thing I think we should all work on and keep in mind together is on the 7-year cycle, obviously things happen in between where adjustments need to be made on tree issues that come up or neighborhoods that need more trees more quickly too. So I do hope we can consider ways to, even in that cycle, because 7 years is a very, very long time. And I think even for our constituents and for us, it's just very difficult to explain why it will take that long to get the trees in. So I do think parks having flexibility on how to navigate that is really important. And the second piece I'll just mention too, and I know we'll talk about this more as well in the future, is just expanding the pool of contractors that Parks uses too. We've done a lot around some of the problematic ones in the past that the agency still works with, but it's my hope that we all can work together to come up with ways to expand that pool, because if you do that, there's more people, more contractors in the pipeline, a better ability to respond more quickly to tree emergencies that come up. It benefits all of us all around. So that's what I'll say, but it's so good to see you all. Thank you for your work, and thank you to all the parks groups who are here too, and see you again soon. Thank you, Chair, as always.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. We're going to jump to Councilmember Ressler.
Brilliant. Thank you. Congratulations, Commissioner. Nice to see you, team. I would just like to take a second to recognize Paul Lozito, who went so above and beyond at the end of last year to help us get our Cool Homes for All legislation done. The team did a phenomenal job at MOCJ, and I'm just truly grateful for Paul in particular, for Elijah, for everybody who worked so incredibly hard, and teams at many other agencies as well, HPD, DEP, et cetera, law department, who really worked around the clock to get it done. So thank you. That was a big deal. We won't forget. I'm excited to work together on implementation. Trees are like Gail, I'm a tree hugger too, and I just want to say congratulations to the chair. Excited to work together with you here. I'm a tree hugger too. In District 33, we are in the process of filling every single available tree bed with a brand new tree, and want to thank the Parks Department for their partnership on that. We will be done with that initiative by the end of 2026, so that is a big, exciting deal. We've been raising funds from local neighbors to support planting new trees. We do tree care events all across our district multiple times, in every neighborhood every year, to encourage more neighbors to kind of adopt a tree and take care of them on a regular basis. We are now starting a new initiative to get planters with trees out into areas where we can't plant trees because of underground infrastructure and the like. But I do want to come back to a point that Gail raised and others raised. I'm generally concerned about just the state of affairs in our Parks Department. I've heard from staff in Brooklyn Parks that we haven't had fewer staff in 40 years. In the Adams administration, we saw 40% decline in part-time park staff, which are so essential to maintaining the conditions in our parks. We need a deeper investment in parks. And we didn't see it yet in prelim, but that's just the beginning of the budget process, so I'm eager for us to work together. But this has to be a priority for the speaker. I know it's a priority for our chair, and we need it to be a priority for the administration, because coming by once every 9 years to prune in a community district, on a single block in a community district, it just doesn't work. I mean, when I go out to my community boards and tell them, if you live in Northern Greenpoint and the parks was there last year and it's time to prune again, it's going to be another 8 years till they're back. That's not a response that I can get away with. So generally would be very eager to understand how we're doing, what your orientation is to the part-time workforce in particular, for how we can build out support in the Parks Department. Do you have a plan for how to increase staffing as we look into the budget, as we begin the budget process now?
Thank you so much for the question. Thank you for your advocacy and for your continued partnership on all things related to trees. While it is still early in the budget process, what I can say is that we are in near constant communication with our leadership, with this administration, on what additional resources look like, and on the significance and the work that we're doing. So while it is early on, I can say with a strong degree of certainty that this administration deeply understands the impact of what our tree canopy is doing, the impact of what our foresters are doing, and kind of largely, as you referenced, the impact of what maintenance and operation and the true service that we provide all New Yorkers.
I know that the Parks Department has been trying their best to do as much as you can with less over these last 4 years, but it's just, we're at the breaking point and there's a need for more resources. When we look at the trees prune numbers, just as an example, looking back in the PMMR data that came out yesterday, we're looking at, for FY25, for the 4-month actuals, I think hitting 28% of our goals for the last 4 months of FY25, and the first 4 months of FY26 hitting 16% of our goals. We're just not on pace to be where we need to be. And you're not yet responsible for that, for the goals that we failed to hit in the previous administration. That's not on you, but we have to fix them moving forward, and we're going to start holding ourselves accountable as we look ahead. So I really hope for a deep and committed partnership to bring more resources to the Parks Department, because if we don't add more money in this budget, we're going to continue to see dirtier parks. We're going to continue to see substandard conditions. And, I'm on the phone every day. I was talking to folks from parks this morning who are great, and I appreciate all of our parkies, but they are doing but they do not have the resources to maintain the parks in the conditions we deserve. So I am concerned. I think that, the data and the outcomes are not where they should be. Pruning was just an example I just picked off, but if there are not more staff, we won't be able to, we're going to have a really tough summer.
Sure. Thanks, Councilmember. And if I just may, with reference to the PMMR data, and I may look to our Assistant Commissioner, just because it's important, as all of the advocates in the room will surely take a look at that data. I just want to point out that some of those pruning numbers were because I believe we had 2 contractors who ultimately decided to pull out of their relationship with parks. So there was a passing away of one of the founders, I believe, of one of those contractors. So some of that work was just due to the fact that we're bringing on new contracts into the realm of things. If you're looking at that planting data, of course, it's kind of planting season, so those numbers are very low.
Yeah.
Due to this new system that we have been seeing kind of record number highs, and I expect that to be the case. But there is a little bit of I definitely hear you on all things related to our maintenance numbers and staffing numbers, but I do want to just point out that some of that PMMR data is because, and those dips were just frankly because of these funky contractor shifts that were happening this.
And I think that, our previous chair, Krishnan, highlighted the right point, that I think there's an opportunity for us to try to bring more folks in to the fold here as contractors. We've been really eager. We work with great nonprofits that I think are eager to figure out a way into this space, like Big Reuse and others. I know this is complex work. I know that it is not an easy thing for folks to take on, but I think putting real resources into how do we build that bench and bring in more folks that are reputable, that care about that are deeply invested in our communities, that I think can do the work more affordably. Those are great outcomes for all of us. So I hope that's something we can explore together and do more mini forests and other fun things that we've been doing in District 33. I'm excited to connect with you further, and we have a lot of big parks ideas that we're hoping to advance together. So thank you for your testimony today, and excited for your leadership at the department.
Thank you, Councilmember Ressler. So we're going to go into the second round. Before I jump to my colleagues, I have two questions. One from Councilmember Sanchez, who was online, and the final question from Councilmember Santos-Suoso. This is from Councilmember Sanchez, Farina Sanchez. Most, if not all, of Council District 14 falls within neighborhoods identified as environmental justice communities. The city's urban forest management plan highlights that areas like ours have fewer healthy trees and greater exposure to heat and environmental stress. In recent years, major storms have also damaged trees across the district. Can the Parks Department speak specifically to the current health of the tree canopy in the West Bronx, including around the Jerome Park Reservoir, a neighborhood landmark lined with beautiful, mature trees, several of which have unfortunately been lost in recent storms? And what in the city's plan, both at the reservoir and more broadly, to address storm damage and ensure timely replanting so our community is not left with declining canopy coverage?
Yes, thank you so much for the question. We'll look to our partners at MOCEJ to comment specifically on tree canopy in the council member's district if you have that information. But what I will say is, again, we do prioritize when it comes to new plantings, those HVI 4 and 5 neighborhoods. We're looking to have fully planted out those neighborhoods by the end of 2027, and then doing this more comprehensive approach throughout the entire city. So happy to look at that information to make sure that we are aligned with if there are any HVI 4 and 5 areas within the council member's district, which I believe there are, then those should be fully planted out by 2027. When it comes to storm response, before I pass it over to MOCEJ, what I would say is, again, I'm very proud of the parkies who responded to our storm. Within the first 72 hours, having cleared all of the street trees from that were the trees that were blocking streets, dealing with around 1,800, a little over 1,800 service requests, and then finally now just finishing up the last of those requests, not too far out from the actual end of that storm. We are constantly looking at ways to, of course, improve service to New Yorkers, so happy to take back any additional feedback, but overall I'm very happy and satisfied with the response of how parkies stood up and responded to this storm.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question on behalf of Councilmember Sanchez. Of the 1,200 acres of her district, we do see that there's 20% tree canopy cover there. That's obviously not where we want to be in the future, but the good news is that we did see pretty significant net gain in tree canopy coverage in those last 5 years between 2017 and 2021. So, we are excited to build on that expansion of tree canopy, and as the commissioner has mentioned before, are making sure that we are prioritizing environmental justice neighborhoods and areas that need it the most. So Upper Manhattan and the Bronx have actually seen some of the greatest gains in tree canopy coverage citywide, and we want to continue that trend, definitely.
All right, thank you. And a question from Councilmember Santos-Suoso. Coney Island is one of the waterfront communities hit by Sandy, where tree canopy and street tree count has not caught up since. And street trees are an important element of resiliency in terms of soil retention and heat reduction. Excuse me. My understanding at last reference is that Coney Island is due for a major street planting in the next 1 to 2 years. Is that still on track?
I will have to get back and make sure that that is still the case, but I'll look to our assistant commissioner unless he wants to provide any additional information. What I'll say, though, is that your council offices, our community board should be notified before ahead of planting. So you should have that information. We don't want anybody to be surprised. And in fact, we want people to celebrate when trees are coming into their neighborhood. So as a form of practice, we do regularly communicate that to constituents and to our leadership, but we're happy to get back. I'm happy to get back with more specifically where Coney Island is looking like in our planting plan, unless you would like to add anything else, Assistant Commissioner.
No, I don't have that information at hand, so we'll have to follow up with that.
Okay. I just have a couple of questions, kind of continuing in the spirit of former Chair Krishnan and Councilmember Ressler. Public reporting and official statements have raised concerns that major New York City parks contractors, including Dragonetti Brothers Landscaping and Griffin's Landscaping, continue to receive significant city work after serious legal issues. What is DPR's standard for deciding when a tree planting or maintenance contractor remains a responsible vendor after criminal, labor, or environmental violations? What factors does DPR consider in that decision? And under what circumstances would DPR recommend suspension, termination, or renewal of that contract?
Thank you so much for the question. I am aware, although I'm relatively still new, am aware of these concerns with past contractors, and I'm certainly looking to get more up to speed on this specific situation that you referenced. In general, and on a very high level, DPR works very closely with our partners at MOCS, the Mayor's Office of Contract Services. I hope that's Mox, as well as the law department and other sister agencies to ensure that all of the contractors and vendors that we do use are of course in accordance with laws and other rules and regulations. And so, for what I understand, that has continued to be the case. We have not engaged in any sort of other vendors that have not followed those rules and regulations, and are also happy to also work with other agencies, including the Department of Investigations and others, to ensure that every kind of contractor that we're working with is following all rules and regulations. I'm going to look to our Assistant Commissioner to give any more background on this one because he was here for longer, but happy to, of course, just look into further and looking forward to getting up to speed on this myself.
We'd appreciate that.
Sure. Thank you for the question. And as the Commissioner said, we work very closely with the Department of Investigation and MOX to ensure that our vendors are compliant with agency contracting policies. So in the case of these vendors, they've been engaged in monitorships and monitoring agreements through DOI. Through those monitoring agreements, DOI is keeping a closer eye on their business practices. And so as long as these vendors are compliant with DOI's monitoring agreement, the approach is to continue the existing relationships with them.
Given that, what integrity and compliance checks does DPR use for tree planting and tree maintenance contractors before award or even considering renewal? And what actions can the department take if a contractor's compliance status changes during the mid-contract?
I'll just start and then I'll pass it back over to you. So one, I'm thankful for the question because I was thinking earlier that I wanted to add this to make sure that you understood that we also are looking very much to diversify our contracts. We've taken a number of steps over recent years to look towards awarding more contracts to MWBE groups, to smaller contracting firms, to really diversify the scope of those contracts. And that's really is to ensure, of course, always that we are delivering services as quickly and as effectively as possible. But it's also to make sure that we're not exhausting the market in so many ways and exhausting the industry, to ensure that we're looking closely at the work that these contractors can do and being creative around who we think can do this work and bringing new folks into the fold. So that is something that and I think that ultimately we're looking, and as we look to diversify those contracts, we're actually seeing a lower cost per tree planting. We're seeing more effective work. So these efforts to diversify those contracts are actually paying off already.
Would you mind speaking more to those efforts?
Sure, of course, and I'll look to our assistant commissioner who's been leading that.
Sure. So I spoke earlier about the reduction in our tree planting costs that we've seen since FY22, and that is a direct result of some minor adjustments to our specifications and contracts, but really primarily due to increased vendor recruitment. And so we've worked with small business services. We've attended vendor outreach fairs. We've had like info sessions for contractors who maybe have a little bit of experience in like tree planting work specifically, but weren't sure they were ready to scale up to city contracts. We've used the MWBE procurement method to bring in smaller vendors to kind of start small, some of whom have successfully competitively bid on some of the bigger contracts. So we started that effort with tree planting because we had seen an increase in tree planting costs, and we knew that we needed to focus there. We've turned those types of efforts in the last couple of years to our tree maintenance program. So we've started similar types of outreach efforts to tree care companies. It's a different type of work from tree planting, so it's often different companies that do this work. And as the commissioner said, just in the last few months, really, we've started to see new bidders on our tree maintenance contracts. The tree pruning, tree removal, pest and disease treatment, these types of things, as well as bidders who had not been involved for many years coming back. So it's early in those efforts, but we're starting to see an increase in the number of vendors on these maintenance.
How many of your recent tree maintenance contracts are classified as MWBEs?
Don't know. We'll have to get back to you on that. I don't have that breakdown here.
Okay. Couple more questions, and then I'm going to turn it back over. Does DPR track the hourly rates contractors pay tree pruners and related workers? And if so, how do those rates compare to what city pays similar workers? Excuse me. Does DPR track the hourly rates contractors pay tree pruners and related workers? And if so, how do those rates compare to what the city pays similar workers? My apologies.
Because those are not prevailing wage contracts, we do not track the rates on that type of work.
Okay. What penalties or contract consequences does DPR use when a contractor provides false or misleading compliance information? And have those penalties been used on tree planting or tree maintenance contracts in recent years?
So happy to give kind of one response and then look to our assistant commissioner for more information. But ultimately, we work very closely with city law, with MOX, with Department of Investigations on all things related to any sort of infractions that are found to be with any sort of contractor. Really and truly, our bread and butter is making sure that this work gets done to New Yorkers, but we look heavily with and work with our other partners here to ensure that there is compliance. And if there is an infraction, we are looking to those other partner agencies to help us determine kind of consequences of that and then follow up as our assistant commissioner had referred to in sort of a monitorship in the situation that you had referenced earlier. I'm going to look to you, Ben, to see if there's anything else you'd like to add.
The only thing I'd like to add is that parks contracting practices are not parks alone. We're following the city's contracting rules in every way. So when it comes to background checks, when it comes to compliance, parks contracting units, which I'm not part of, do perform a certain background check, but then we do work with law and DOI and MOX for a more thorough vetting and compliance.
Final question from me, and I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Banks and Councilmember Brewer. How concentrated is DPR's tree planting and tree maintenance work among its top vendors, including firms such as Dragonetti Brothers Landscaping and Griffin's Landscaping? What percentage of work is done by DPR's top 3 and top 5 vendors, and what is DPR doing to reduce over-reliance on a small number of vendors?
And while I'm going to look to our assistant commissioner to see if he has any of that information handy, I'm going to guess that we're going to have to get back to you on some of those other components of it. We have some data available here, but any questions that we don't have answers to, we're happy to get back to you on.
Yeah, I'd happy to kind of respond in somewhat general terms, which is that Dragonetti remains a significant vendor for both tree planting and tree maintenance, and Griffin's for tree maintenance. As we've discussed earlier, we've put a lot of effort into diversifying and recruiting more vendors, but we'll be happy to get back to you with the details on the breakdown of how much each of those vendors holds.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Banks and Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to go back to some of my early questioning, particularly when it comes to green thumb responsibility and timelines. And also just want to note also that my district has the most green thumbs probably throughout the entire city. When it comes to trees inside a green thumb garden, and when it comes to damage, when there's a property that's adjacent to it, when it comes to buckling of fences, cracked grounds, root pressure, which entity, Green Thumb or Parks Forestry, is responsible for maintenance, and what is the required response timeline?
Sure. Yeah, I understand and appreciate that question, and of course, green thumb gardens are unique in that they're very close to people's homes in many cases, and so we are one parks department, so I wouldn't really characterize it as green thumb versus forestry being responsible. However, forestry takes care of the trees, right?
So forestry is responsible if there's damage that's done or damage that's a tree, if a tree is protruded onto private property.
So forestry can take action in terms of maintenance of the trees. And
So when a complaint is put in, what's the timeline for a response then?
So we will inspect any service request as quickly as we can, and we've discussed the volume and the backlog of service requests that we carry right now. So I can't provide a precise timeline for any particular service request. As far as
So it could take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 years.
To perform an inspection, no.
But once it, and this goes back to initial questions I had raised earlier, once inspection is done, and if there's if we're not getting the response in a sense or the rating that is needed to deal with the situation, who steps in when the constituent is saying and showing evidence, given evidence that their property is being damaged by this tree that is in the green thumb?
Yeah, so let me just say, what I believe that our assistant commissioner is trying to get at is that it really depends on the type of complaint that's coming in. Anything that is of significant, severe damage, or risk of damage, we are addressing as expeditiously as possible, and particularly we have that rating system. But of course, we understand that there is a backlog when it comes to those moderate and kind of middle range complaints that are coming in, and certainly then I don't want your constituents or frankly anybody to feel that they're just complaining into a void where there's no.
Well, that's what it seems like.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm
And,
trying
yeah.
to say that certainly we're an agency that's people powered. So whether it's talking to our Green Thumb partners, which we do
Right.
regularly, or it's talking to homeowners, or it's talking to our leadership at community boards, or with you, council member, we are happy to walk through other alternatives. We're happy to talk through what options are available and costs associated with it. So I'd say we're happy to follow up with you directly to make sure that in this case that we lay out the options that are available, whether that's through Green Thumb taking action, forestry taking action, or any other entity, and what the timeline is.
We'll give you cases that exist.
Sure.
That it's already on the radar of Parks Department or the Forestry Unit, and there's been no action. Or not to the satisfactory of the need of the constituent. And it's particularly on Glenmore Avenue where you have a host of green thumbs that exists, And you know, we have examples of damage being done to private property, and you know, the resident has said, and it's over and over said nothing's being done. So hopefully we can, you know, we wanted to highlight this today, and hopefully we can get some action on that. When it comes to claims versus repairs, when a homeowner is directed to file a claim with the comptroller for damages caused by parks, managed trees, what documentation, inspection notes, findings, evidence of root intrusion, etc., does the parks provide to support legitimate claims?
I'm happy to take that question, and thank you for that question. So just a point of clarification, Parks would never direct a property owner to file a claim, but you know that certainly is an option.
But it is
they
okay.
may have, yes, and I would, you know, to an extent defer to the controller as to what type of documentation they may accept or may recommend. However, Parks is happy to provide an assessment of the condition. You know, sometimes it's just simply a request for correspondence, right? You know, we can write a letter saying this is what we observed. When it comes to sidewalks, because it's a much more common type of concern, we have you know, an established system. If a
Right.
property owner is looking to undertake repairs to their sidewalk, it's damaged by a city tree, they want guidance, or they're looking to file a claim with controller, or both. The inspection records that we provide a recommendation for a repair, and also documentation as far as what portion of the sidewalk was damaged by a tree.
And last question, Chair, and thank you. Does the Parks Department coordinate with DOT, DEP, Con Edison, National Grid, or other agencies when trees obstruct the street lights, contact structures, or create infrastructure risk? And I know this touches on, you know, in Brooklyn, we've been having a lot of brownouts and blackouts that has been taking place, and sometimes it starts either in a manhole, or it starts from this topical, starts from the lines, the electric lines. What is being done? Is there any type of coordination?
Yes, very much so. They're on multiple different levels. So on a agency to agency basis, we are in constant communication. We have regular interactions on a staff level. We have regular interactions, and then during storms, and during extreme weather events, we are even more so in truly constant communication through this kind of real-time task force that takes place, that then helps us track using the resources of and emergency management, DSNY, DOT, and others to address and react and respond to situations as they arise. Would you like to add anything else to that?
Yeah, specifically because you focused on brownouts, power concerns. Want to note that Con Edison is responsible for the clearance of trees, whether they're city trees or private trees, around their own infrastructure. But we have a very, very close relationship with Con Ed. We actually have applications where we share data back and forth. Con Edison refers conditions to us that they see may be a concern with respect to the health of a tree near their equipment. We refer conditions to them if we see something that is, you know, potentially putting their equipment at
Okay,
risk.
so that's the coordination.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
got you.
very close
So Con
coordination.
Edison is responsible for clearing.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And they, you know, some people may see trucks, you know, passing by pruning around the wires, and then they may see our trucks passing by pruning for something different. They're on kind of distinct cycles. But yeah, Con Edison has a very specific cycle for pruning for clearance of their equipment.
All right, thank you. Let's bring it back to Manhattan. Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you very much. I saw the numbers for the tree risk issues, 34,000, and then sidewalk tree program, 17,000. But what's the backlog of trees to be planted? Do you have that number? In other words, an assessment, maybe from your map or whatever, including the 47 that just died in that storm, et cetera, et cetera. How many trees have vacant pits in the city of New York?
Well, you know, that number of trees that we could plant or plan to plant is you know, a constantly evolving number.
Yeah, there might be a vault there. I got it.
Sure.
I know about the vaults.
A vacant pit is not necessarily a planting space. You know, some trees may have been planted in tree beds, you know, decades ago in locations, whether there's a new conflict or just because our standards have evolved that space is no longer viable.
Okay.
And in addition, we don't need a tree bed in order to plant. So through our neighborhood tree planting approach, we're looking down an entire block. We are looking at every square inch of that block for where a tree could be planted based on our standards, whether there's an existing tree bed or not.
Okay, is this on your map? I know you have a tree map. Would that include that information be on the map? I'm trying to get a number to multiply 2,900. I'm trying to get a number so I can multiply it and figure out how much we need for our trees.
Okay, so the tree work hub shows our upcoming plantings.
Okay,
right?
but not where they're
But the
pits.
question of how many trees could be planted in the entire city, I think
Yes.
that's what you're looking to get at.
Yes.
So we have done an estimate. That would be an estimate. I don't have that number in front of me, but we would be happy to follow up.
Okay, because what I'm trying to say is, if you know, we all should be aiming for something for your tree planting program. Obviously, more contractors would help. But you are talking about the most popular topic in New York City, so we would love to see some action on it.
And then just quickly, ma'am, I just want to interject and say that the capital, we have baseline capital funding in place for the tree planting program.
For
so
all-
so specifically for the plan that we have designated.
Yeah, I don't like that plan.
Sure.
Okay, I'm just
Heard.
making it clear. I don't like that plan.
But however, like that in total, regardless of the timeline that it will take, you know, the funding is in place.
Yeah, I need this parallel plan number. I'm working on my parallel plan.
Fair enough. We'll be happy to get you whatever
All right,
information you need.
Another thing is just in terms of pickup for the recent storm. I know you said sanitation and parks, they'll figure it out. Will they figure it out at 311? I just worry when you say parks and sanitation, because I don't know who's going to do it. And I got people complaining, you know.
So whether there's a storm or not, the
Right.
best way to report any problem with the tree is 311.
Okay.
And that feeds directly into our database, our
Into
forestry
parks, and then
management
you
system.
decide if it's DSNY or you.
Yes, and
Okay.
when we activate the Down Trees Task Force for a large storm through New York City Emergency Management, that pulls in multiple other agencies depending on the conditions and what those other agencies are doing.
Okay.
And through NYCC's Down Tree Task Force, we feed work orders
Great,
to
okay.
other agencies who are coming in to help, and they feed their reports back to us, so it's a very tightly
That's
coordinated
fabulous.
system.
And then fun, what's that program called that you mentioned that you, because, you know, in my neighborhood, the trees bend the sidewalk, people trip, fine, they're still alive. But then the problem is, then the neighbors, my neighbors, want to tear down the tree. I do not. So what's the name of that program that could perhaps fix the problem so that I don't have to deal with tripping and I don't have to deal with tearing down the tree? Does it have a name, the one
So
that you
with
described?
The Parks, Trees, and Sidewalks program.
Parks, trees, and
Trees and
sidewalks.
sidewalks.
Thank you.
It's for,
I will be utilizing that program. Thank you very much.
I just want to take a point of privilege to say I want to be like Councilmember Brewer when I grow up. So, I just want to say that. Going to the great borough of Staten Island, Councilmember Morano.
The Borough of Parks, Chairman. The Borough of Parks.
This is true.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Chairman, and congratulations for a very, very successful first committee hearing. It's clear, based on the amount of preparation you've done today, that the Speaker made a great choice in selecting you to chair this committee. Congratulations as well to Councilmember Banks for having the wisdom to ask questions before you figured out where the timer was. So. Commissioner, thank you not only for your testimony, but congratulations on a terrific appointment. It seems like the mayor couldn't have chosen a better candidate than you. I'm really looking forward to hosting you in the Borough of Parks and showing you around some of the great parks in my district. Staten Island, as you may already know, has one of the highest levels of tree canopy in the city. Under the new data-driven planting strategy that prioritizes heat-vulnerable neighborhoods, can you assure Staten Islanders that we won't see reductions in tree maintenance, pruning, or stump removal services because our borough already has a higher canopy?
Yes, I can. Our tree planting plan is separate than our tree pruning plan. Those are two separate entities, although we are looking, even though we prioritize our heat vulnerable neighborhoods, that does not mean we are leaving the rest of the city behind. This plan actually ensures that we are looking comprehensively across our city to make sure that everywhere is planted, but we also understand the importance, as mentioned in my testimony, of continued regular pruning, the continued maintenance of our tree canopy, of which Staten Island has a beautiful one, requires regular pruning, and we're very committed to following through on that. Would you like to add anything else about the pruning in Staten Island?
Certainly. So yes, our routine pruning, our 7-year block pruning cycle continues. We continue to, encourage Staten Islanders, along with all New Yorkers, to report any issues of concern that they see at their own one, so that we can respond in between that cycle. I would add, with respect to neighborhood tree planting, that we will be servicing through that program a portion of each community district. So, I know Staten Island has 3. On at least once in every 3-year period. But also that neighborhood tree planting program is adding some capacity for tree and stump removal. We're able to use the capital dollars with our tree planting contracts to perform some additional removal of dead or dying trees and stumps as we go through and plant. So it's adding some service.
Thank you. And Commissioner, at the risk of being somewhat duplicative of what Councilmember Brewer asked, I think it bears repeating just because it's such a big issue in my district. A frequent complaint from homeowners in my district is the sidewalk damage caused by tree roots. Just to be clear, what steps is the Parks Department taking to reduce root damage to sidewalks when planting new trees?
Thank you for your question. So when we've actually, and I'll look to Ben to give you more specifics, but as we've continued to maintain this urban trees that we have here, we've learned a lot of lessons and have evolved in what we understand to be the best practices around tree maintenance. And so whereas you used to see maybe smaller tree beds that were maybe 4x4 in size, you won't see those anymore. You'll see these expanded tree beds that will allow for better root growth, healthier trees, and hopefully less disruption to our sidewalks. That's just one example, but I'll look to our Assistant Commissioner to give you more examples of how we've continued to evolve in our thinking of when we're planting new, that we're doing so with kind of keeping in mind all the infrastructure that we're butting up against, but also the overall health and longevity of these trees.
Yeah, I would just add that we're even more thoughtful than we were in decades past about the species or cultivars of trees that we plant. We no longer plant trees that we've learned to be real repeat offenders with sidewalk issues, such as the Bradford Calorie pears and certain types of maples. So just thinking about the species more carefully and the space.
I appreciate the update on the damage that the recent storms did to the trees. Does the department proactively identify older or compromised trees that may be more likely to fall during storms and maybe even remove them before they become a hazard?
While we are in the midst of our 4th tree census, which this year will include this sort of LiDAR technology that will be tracking the shape, growth, height, type, of course, and all these other kind of details around each street tree. The truth is that all types of trees are unfortunately susceptible to extreme storms and extreme weather. So no, I don't believe, and I'll look to our Assistant Commissioner, we don't proactively go out to remove any of these trees or branches before a storm. We also, frankly, a lot of these times these storms come pretty quickly, and the reason why we don't do any work during storms, of course, is that we have some really strict restrictions around putting guys in cherry pickers or anything else like that when extreme weather. This last one had gusts of up to 60 miles per hour winds. It would be way too much for our guys to go out there beforehand when these winds are starting to pick up and then do that work beforehand. I think our best approach is still that kind of regular interval of tree pruning that happens on a 7-year basis. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just the 7-year pruning that the Commissioner referred to, it includes a full inspection of every tree on every block. So we have trained inspectors who are performing a risk assessment on each one of those trees. So those trees that are safe to remain at that time will be pruned for that under that routine maintenance. But those trees that are declining or have serious defects are given an even more thorough inspection and may be removed. So that there is that kind of proactive inspection as we prepare for our block pruning. In between that cycle, we rely on the public to report defects.
One more, if I may, briefly, Chairman. When a new tree is planted for a block, how are residents notified, and is there any opportunity for homeowners to provide input about the location?
Sure. So You should, for our kind of block or comprehensive planting, your office should be notified, as well as the community board, about when plantings are set to take place. You'll also see when the trees are actually put in. You'll see little tags on them saying I'm a new tree or something like that. And I believe that we're coming out with additional messaging to put on homeowners' doors and things like that to remind them that this is coming or that work is being done on their street. In terms of a selection of specific trees, unfortunately, we don't at this point. We're very limited in our ability to work directly with homeowners on maybe the type of tree or the location of these trees, because our mandate is really to plant in as many plantable locations as possible. And oftentimes our decisions, as Councilmember Brewer mentioned, are driven by things that nobody can see: the infrastructure beneath the ground, the kind of clearance with other sister agencies, and that sort of work. When I was Manhattan Borough Commissioner, I had residents who all they wanted were cherry trees in every location, and that's also not something that we can provide. We really look at the type and species of trees very closely to look at what are the other trees in the area, what can contribute to this kind of urban ecology that's going on in this space, what are the trees that are likely to survive in the climate there. So a lot of those decisions ultimately guide. They're data driven and research driven, but they guide the decisions on where we plant trees and the type of trees that we plant. Although we're also very happy, as I mentioned to Councilmember Banks, I would love for your constituents to have a direct relationship with us. I want to hear their concerns and are able to explain these kind of concerns to our team, but also find ways that they can also be involved in caring for their trees on any given block, or being involved with our agency in other ways.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. I just want to say again, thank you to the commissioner and the leadership at Parks and administration for being here today. The goal of this committee moving forward is to build a collaborative relationship so that not only are we protecting our trees, but our green spaces, our parks, our recreation spaces, and ensuring that every community has access to it. And so, again, thank you so much. As you know, our thing is parks are for everyone. So we're going to do that together. Thank you, Commissioner. At this time, we're going to open the hearing for public testimony. I want to remind members of the public that this is a formal government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on today's hearing topics, ensuring the long-term health and growth of the city's tree stock. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. With that, we're going to call our first panel, and thank you so much for your patience with us today. Lynn Kelly, Executive Director of New York Restoration Project. Nycc Price, City Parks and Partnership for Parks. Sarah Balestra, City Parks Foundation. Aliyah Sumro, New York League of Conservation Voters. And joining by way of Zoom, Kathy Park Price, New Yorkers for Parks. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Chris to swear in. No? Oh, okay. Lynn, you're good to start.
Thank you. Congratulations. I'm Lynn Bodner Kelly. I'm the Executive Director of New York Restoration Project. I am no stranger to this table and delighted to be here again. I would say, as this is your first hearing, I would please encourage members of the administration to stay and listen to the testimony of all of the advocates that are stayed in this room as we continue through this budget process. So simply put, NYRP knows trees. For more than 30 years, we've planted trees, renovated community gardens, restored parks, and expanded access to green space in our city. Together with the Parks Department, we actually launched and completed Million Trees. And this historic partnership was completed in 2015. As climate change intensifies, I think it's no secret, trees are our frontline way of defending ourselves and strengthening our biodiversity. And that's why today, and you can sign up on our website now, we give away free trees every year to New York City residents. This year we're giving away 3,700 approximately trees, and I was told as of an hour ago, over 75% have already been claimed. So get your tree now. We also do it in partnership with council members. We do a tree giveaway with Councilmember Krishnan as well as Councilmember Ressler. So next year, if you'd like to partner with us, you're welcome. I'm not going to go through why, because you're going to hear it from my colleagues about why tree canopy is so important in New York City, but I was doing some simple math while we were discussing the question about the 9 years. Why does it take Parks Department 9 years? Let's just do some simple math. If there are 18,000 inquiries or complaints or backlog on the books of trees, and there are only 60 foresters, and the average US worker works 250 days a year, that means that each of these foresters really has 1.1 a day that they would have to, and they can't get sick and they can't take vacation. So this is a function of resources. The Parks Department simply needs more resources. They're not miracle workers. Together with all of us as advocates, we wish to work with you in your new role. Congratulations, and you'll see me here again.
Thank you. Looking forward to working with you as well.
I just wanted to clarify, Nycc Price from City Parks Foundation is my colleague, but she is not testifying in person today, and she was here but is not present. So I am Sarah Balistreri, the Urban Forest Program Senior Manager at Partnerships for Parks, a public-private partnership between Parks Department and City Parks Foundation. Thank you so much for calling this hearing and for the opportunity to testify. New York City has already taken an important step toward a greener future by passing local laws 135 and 148, which established the Urban Forest Plan and set a much-needed goal of equitably expanding tree canopy to 30%. In developing the Urban Forest Plan, City Parks Foundation has been partnering with New York City Parks and the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice to plan community engagement, to use our extensive subject matter expertise to synthesize research and data analysis, and to act as fiscal sponsor for the Urban Forest Plan. Through Partnerships for Parks, we have coordinated large-scale community engagement efforts, including input sessions in all 5 boroughs where we heard New Yorkers' concerns and hopes for the future of New York City's urban forest. We also held focus groups with dedicated tree stewards and released a questionnaire which gathered thousands of responses in 7 languages. To date, we've engaged more than 8,000 New Yorkers across all 5 boroughs, and what we're hearing is clear. People care deeply about trees, and they know their neighborhoods best. That's why Partnerships for Parks is now translating community input into community action. We're incorporating support for tree stewardship throughout our programs, providing training, supplies, grassroots grants, and networking opportunities to community volunteers who dedicate their time, effort, and passion to caring for our neighborhood trees. Community input and volunteerism are vital to this work, and Partnerships for Parks is proud to lead it. But without dedicated funding for implementation, the city relies heavily on advocates and volunteers to enact the plan. We cannot expand and protect our urban forest without investing in the workforce required to plant, maintain, and steward it. And New York City Parks is already chronically understaffed. We stand ready to partner with city leaders to turn this plan into sustainable action, but it will require increased funding, expanded staffing, and a long-term commitment to our city's trees and those who steward them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
You mentioned trainings. Can you just tell me the type of trainings that are offered and how can folks sign up?
Absolutely. Partnerships for Parks Technical Assistance Program for many years has offered a variety of trainings to those who steward and activate our park spaces, and we're now expanding that to those who steward our street trees as well. There are workshops ranging from Budget 101 to how to access grants if you're a grassroots group, to even sort of group leadership development and hands-on stewardship skills. Those are just a few examples, and people could easily find them by Googling Partnerships for Parks and looking for the Partnerships Academy series. Open to everyone, free of charge.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Alia Sumro, and I'm the Deputy Director for New York City Policy at the New York League of Conservation Voters. Congratulations, and thank you, Chair Hankerson, as well as members of the Parks Committee, and for the opportunity to testify today. Our city's park system increases quality of life, promotes climate resilience, provides good union jobs, and fosters social and economic growth in every borough. As co-founders of the Playfair for Parks Coalition, along with New Yorkers for Parks, DC 37, and over 400 organizations, NYLCV demands a city budget that gives New York City's parks the fair funding they deserve. NYLCV is also a member of the Forest for All New York City Coalition, and this is a coalition of over 140 organizations committed to protecting, maintaining, and expanding the city's urban forest. First and foremost, if we are to maintain and grow our city's park system, invest in our workforce, increase tree canopy, and prepare our open spaces for climate change, elected officials must increase the city's parks budget. We appreciated that the mayor promised to increase the parks budget to 1%, but we were disappointed in the preliminary budget. And obviously it's preliminary, so we were hoping that the city council and the admin by the adopted budget will increase the city's parks budget. Right now it's 0.5% of the city's budget. So as we're going through the budget process, we believe that there is an opportunity to rebuild an agency that was crippled by decades of disinvestment and more recently 4 years of disproportionate PEGS cuts. Moreover, the city's urban forests and natural areas provide countless environmental and social benefits to city residents. This includes reducing urban flooding, managing stormwater runoff, which keeps pollutants out of waterways, and very importantly, mitigating extreme heat, which impacts low-income and communities of color especially. So along with the Forest for All Coalition, we were a strong supporter of Local Law 148 of 2023, which the council passed, requiring the city's first urban forest plan. So we're very excited to see this plan. And just wrapping up, we're very excited to work with the council, the admin, as well as parks advocates here today to get the Parks Department the fair funding they deserve and see the urban forest grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Ali, I just want to say I was very disappointed with the preliminary budget as well, so I share that sentiment. Lynn, do you mind if I call you Lynn? I just want to go back to your testimony. You had mentioned that New Yorkers are able to request a tree. Where can they request?
You can go right now on your cell phone to our website, and it's on our landing
You mind
page.
just moving the mic up? I want them to hear this at home.
If you would like to request a free tree, there are some rules. You have to plant it or use it in New York City. You have to be a New York City resident. But you can go right on our website. It's right on the homepage, on the landing page. And you register right there. It's a really simple form. And we have many different varieties of native species. And I'm told today there's still pawpaws left. So you can get fruit trees, and all kinds of flowering trees and blueberry bushes this year. We've expanded. We've, went to bushes a little bit over trees. But it's an incredibly popular program, and we give you all the instructions. If you've never planted a tree before or you've never cared for a tree, we can show you how to do it. So novices are welcome.
Are folks limited to one?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's a hot commodity.
I know. I won't tell my grandmother. She'll get upset.
But next year, what I will say is, if you would like to host a free tree giveaway in your district, come to us early, And we can come out to you with the trees, work with a volunteer even, or other organizations in your district, and make sure that they get in your constituents' hands. And like I mentioned, Councilmember Krishnan and Councilmember Ressler took us up on that this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. We're going to jump to the Zoom room. Okay.
Thank you.
Kathy Park Price. Hi, Kathy.
Hello, Council Member and Chair Hankerson. Thank you so much to you and the Parks Committee for the opportunity to testify. Congratulations on your first hearing, and I appreciate your statements about the disappointment in the preliminary budget and echo Alia Sumro's comments as well. As you know, we'll be at the March 23rd preliminary budget hearing, rallying for a fully funded parks budget in advance of the preliminary budget hearing. My name is Kathy Park Price, and I'm the Director of Advocacy and Policy at New Yorkers for Parks, a 118-year-old advocacy organization that fights for our high-quality, fully funded parks and open spaces for every New Yorker. As Alia mentioned, we also help lead the Playfair for Parks Coalition, made up of more than 450 organizations across the city that support our park system. For many New Yorkers, trees are the part of the park system that we encounter most often in our daily lives, even if someone does not step into a park or plaza on any given day. As the Parks Commissioner noted during her testimony, trees are literally part of our city's infrastructure and need the same care and maintenance, just like our streets, sidewalks, and sewers do. Tree-related issues are one of the most common reasons residents contact 311, and right now there are more than 30,000 unresolved service requests for tree care citywide. During the most recent winter storm alone, nearly 2,000 tree-related service requests were submitted. These numbers reflect a system under strain. While the city continues to plant new trees, which is wonderful and much needed, there are not enough forestry staff to keep up with the inspections and handle preventative care. Mature trees require consistent maintenance to stay healthy and safe.
Time has expired.
Okay, I'll just quickly wrap up. We urge the council to restore and baseline forestry staffing at parks so the agency can address service backlogs and care for the trees we already have, invest in maintenance and pruning, and fully fund the implementation of the forthcoming urban forest plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, we're going to call our next panel. We're going to start with Oded Hausinger from Natural Areas Conservancy. Merritt Burnbar from Riverside Park Conservancy. Tamilyn Mogus, the Nature Conservancy. And Catherine Mercier. If I mispronounced your name, please pronounce it correctly in the microphone. I do apologize.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations. My name is Oded Holzinger, and I'm the Executive Director of the Natural Areas Conservancy. I want to thank you and the committee for the opportunity to testify here today. The Natural Areas Conservancy is the citywide nonprofit that works with New York City Parks Department to study, steward, and advocate for the protection of New York City's 20,000 acres of forested natural areas and wetlands. We heard a lot about street trees and landscape parks. I'm here also to speak about these landscapes that are central to the future of our city's urban forest. Our forests contain nearly 5 million of the city's 7 million trees, meaning that achieving the citywide 30% canopy cover target required by Local Law 148 will not be possible without protecting and actively managing these natural areas. In 2018, the Natural Areas Conservancy and New York City Parks created the Forest Management Framework, a 25-year roadmap to address the ecological threats facing these forests. However, to date, the city has allocated only 21% of the funding needed to implement this plan, and funding has been inconsistent year to year. This has resulted in the loss of staff and delays in critical forest management work. Our most recent ecological assessment, conducted with New York City Parks in 2024, shows troubling signs of decline. Invasive vines were present at 92% of forest plots surveyed, and the forest mid-story is showing a decline in native trees, both indicators that long-term forest regeneration is at risk. With stronger and more consistent investment in forest management and staffing, New York City Parks can address these threats and protect the forests that provide critical benefits to climate resilience, public health, and biodiversity. We look forward to discussing the budgetary and staffing needs necessary to ensure these landscapes receive the care they need at the preliminary budget hearing later this month. Thank you so much.
Hi, Chair Hankerson. Thank you for holding this hearing. My name is Merritt Birnbaum. I'm President and CEO of Riverside Park Conservancy. We partner with NYC Parks to steward 6 miles of parkland along the Hudson River, which includes approximately 26,000 trees and 27 acres of natural areas. Riverside Park is a case study in what is happening to New York City's urban forest because much of our canopy is aging out all at once. A huge share of our mature trees were planted during the Robert Moses era of the 1930s, including some of our park's most iconic features, like the alleys of London plane trees. These features are beautiful, but they represent large monocultures, trees of the same species, the same age, reaching the end of their natural life together with no clear succession plan. Now you add climate change and overwhelmed forestry operation, and you get a public safety problem. In Riverside, we routinely see dead limbs and deteriorating trees sit for months, sometimes longer, because the system can only address the most immediately dangerous conditions. And with NYC Parks forestry headcount at its lowest levels ever, even danger is now being triaged. So here are 3 recent examples. At our very active pickleball courts, numerous dead limbs were reported in early June. They are still unpruned, with 2 potentially lethal limbs coming down and falling directly on the courts, luckily, when no one was there. This is since they were first reported. A dead tree was marked for removal at Hippo Playground, and then it came down on its own shortly afterward during peak season use. After this most recent blizzard, we have been clearing fallen limbs in our park, the Conservancy staff, for 10 days straight. One very large tree came down that we were unable to clear on the path by River Run Playground, and it still remains right now, to this day, on the path. It appears to be unstable and people are still walking underneath it while it awaits removal. It's only a matter of time before danger becomes death in a system that is forced to operate with this level of underfunding. So the solution is simple. Stop forcing emergency triage as the operating model. Fund the staffing so that NYC Parks Forestry can prune and manage its risks proactively, not after something falls. Our admirable colleagues at the City Parks Foundation are about to release the Comprehensive Urban Forest Plan, as rightly mandated by the City Council. But without any funding for the staff and resources to carry it out, we are doomed to continue the cycle of canopy loss and forest degradation that is becoming our city's legacy. A tree takes decades to grow and a fraction of a second to fall, so let's fund the forest workforce that's needed to heal the forest. Thank you.
Just 2 brief questions before we move to the next person. How many individuals, if you have this data, how many individuals are on the Conservancy staff?
The Conservancy staff has about 60 full-time staff.
60 full-time staff. has a conservancy had to hire private contractors for tree maintenance?
Yes, on a limited basis. We ourselves do not have an arborist on staff. Tree work, as I've described, is extremely dangerous, and we don't have the insurance or the capacity to carry it out as a private conservancy. We have been able to hire contractors, and we have started more and more hiring contractors using private dollars to do pruning, particularly when we've been unable to get responses to immediate dangerous situations. So right now, we're looking to appeal to a donor to fund block pruning at the pickleball situation that has been of great concern to us.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It might be on already. Yep.
Okay. Congratulations, Chair Hankerson, and I'm thrilled that your first hearing is about trees. So thank you so much to you and the committee for holding this hearing and for the opportunity to testify. My name is Tammy Lynn Mogus. I am the director of the Nature Conservancy's New York City program. The Nature Conservancy is the world's largest conservation organization. We have 90,000 members across the state and 35,000 of whom reside in New York City. The Nature Conservancy has produced a lot of research on the urban forest and canopy analyses over the years. We're also a leading member and convener of Forest for All NYC, a coalition of over 200 organizational members. We work to increase investment in the urban forest and to expand tree canopy to 30% citywide by 2035 in an equitable manner. The coalition also hosts the annual City of Forest Day, which is attracting tree stewardship and tree care events every single year in October. In order to ensure the long-term health and growth of the city's tree stock, it is vital to double the New York City Parks budget and to commit full funding to the New York City urban forest. The New York City urban forest contains over 7 million trees on public and private property and provide a multitude of environmental and health benefits. To reach the 30% canopy goal that is required by Local Law 148, the city will need to protect and maintain existing trees and plant new trees. And we'll focus a little bit more on the maintenance aspect. Investing in regular maintenance of existing trees is critical. The Nature Conservancy's analysis of LiDAR data to determine canopy changes between 2010 and 2021 has shown that canopy has increased. That is the good news. But from 2017 to 2021, we estimate that as much as 90% of that tree canopy growth was from existing trees rather than from trees that were newly planted. This is even higher than previous estimates of 87% between 2010 and 2017. This finding really reinforces the importance of protecting and regularly maintaining existing trees, especially because private property does not have any legal protections or incentives for tree planting, care, or replacement. As the mayor's office gets ready to release the 10-year urban forest plan this spring, we would like to see increased and baseline funding for the urban forest, especially for critical maintenance staff for the trees and workforce training programs. We commend the city's previous commitments, but the latest budget of cutting $33 million from the preliminary budget is not in line with that commitment and does not set up the urban forest plan for success. Thank you to the committee for the opportunity to testify, and we'd love to continue to work with you.
Thank you. Just really quickly, does the Conservancy have any data or reports on potential health benefits that are directly related to canopy growth?
Yes, we actually have a full report here,
Okay.
which we'll be giving to you shortly. And
Perfect.
if there's any specific information, we'll be happy to point those
Great
out.
minds think alike. Look at that.
Yeah, but there's definitely a lot of health benefits and environmental benefits, and that's why trees are really critical for the future climate adaptability of the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Mercier, and I am Deputy Director of Queens Forestry. I'm currently off the clock and here representing Chapter 7 of Local 375 of DC 37. Our chapter represents over 400 Parks Department employees, including foresters, landscape architects, and city research scientists. Our chapter found it important to testify at this meeting today because so many of us work maintaining and growing our urban forests here in New York City. The fundamental challenges we want to lay out today are chronic understaffing of permanent civil service lines, along with the increase in the use of consultant staff and private contractors, which together have resulted in our urban forest maintenance being more expensive than it needs to be, and much essential work that would preserve our urban forests going undone. We maintain that consultants and contractors are too expensive. For example, consultant arborists perform much of the same work that foresters do, but the city pays approximately $90 per hour for these consultants, while foresters' salary and fringe benefits is approximately $60 per hour, only 2/3 the cost. Under many programs, capital dollars are paying for these consultants, work that a forester could otherwise be doing. We also maintain that consultant and contractor work standards are more inconsistent than permanent staff because they do not receive the same training and do not have the opportunity to retain institutional knowledge like permanent employees do. This often in turn creates additional work for our members. Finally, we maintain that there is essential forestry maintenance going undone due to understaffing. For example, there is insufficient oversight for work on or near trees. Even when contractors apply for and receive tree work permits, staff do not have the capacity to perform regular site inspections, which would be able to correct problems before they lead to tree damage or destruction,
You can
which can
continue.
be common on construction sites. Chapter 7 members have been asked to do more with less for too long to the detriment of our urban forests. We believe a fully staffed, permanent parks workforce is crucial to preserve and grow our urban canopy.
Thank you. I do have some questions for you, but for the sake of time, give me 1 second. It's first hearing, so I got to make sure I'm doing things right. My team will grab your contacts. I do have some follow-up questions, particularly regarding Queens Forestry. Thank you. We're going to call the next panel. We're calling Lucy Cote of Friends of Fort Greene Park, Tage Rambaran, Trees New York, Mark Kuzinitz, Big Reuse, Angelis Zwinger Manes. She left? Okay. Did I say her name correctly? I was close.
Sorry, you ready?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Oh, sorry. This is what I'm talking about here. See all these trees? See any here? No. That's what the Parks Department wants to do, or did in the past, anyway. Hi, I'm Lucy Coteen. I live in Fort Greene. Good day, everybody. Thank you, Councilmember Morano, for sticking around. I'm here as a member of Friends of Fort Greene Park, supporting.
I'm sorry. Before you continue, may I see the images? I couldn't see that far.
Thrilled.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm here as a member of Friends of Fort Greene Park, supporting the continuation and preservation of the urban forest in Fort Greene Park. The capital project, which originated in 2015, is not compliant with the city's stated goal to increase tree canopy 30% by 2035. It includes removing 78 mature, healthy trees with large canopies, 58 of them in an environmental justice area that will result in reduced carbon sequestration, worsen air pollution, increase storm water runoff, and increase the already high asthma rates. The northwest sector of the park sits directly across from a large Nycc complex and is used as the backyard by the residents who live there. The targeted project area includes 13,000 square feet of green space, which would be replaced with a 43-foot hardscape plaza. An entire generation will be harmed by worsened air quality and increased heat island effect during the 20 to 30 years it takes for new trees to reach their full potential to mitigate air pollution. The entire lower quadrant is covered in shade in the summer. Our organization has needed to file many FOIL requests and several lawsuits against the city in order to receive information that should have been readily available to the tax-paying public. This has been costly to the community and to the city. It is time to scrap this detrimental $24 million project. Friends of Fort Greene Park has designed a practical counter-proposal that delivers the objectives of making the needed repairs to the deteriorated walkways, sidewalk, drainage systems, recreational facilities, and creating new accessibility without destroying trees or remodeling the historic Olmsted Park. This will create a positive way to save money and provide the necessary maintenance needed in the park, which has been lacking for decades. The money saved can be used for improvements in other parks. And you can see the proposal on the website, which I have listed here, and more information. And we look forward to meeting with you, Chair Hankerson, to give you more details than 2 minutes allow. Oh my God, I'm under time. Fantastic. Anyway, thank you and congratulations on your position. And we would really love to work with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to meeting with you all as well.
My name is Tadrine Moran, and I am an environmental educator at Trees New York. Thank you, Chair Hankerson and Parks Committee members, for the opportunity to speak today. For the past 50 years, Trees New York has expanded and maintained the city's tree canopy through planting, stewardship, education, and community participation. This work continues to be vital today as we face the growing impacts of climate change, including extreme heat, increased flooding, and decreased air quality. Our urban forest is one of the greatest resources to help us keep New York City healthy and thriving in the face of these challenges. Today, as a member of the Forest for All NYC Coalition, we respectfully call on the City Council to support the implementation of the Urban Forest Plan and the achievement of 30% canopy goal. In 2025, Trees New York hosted events across the boroughs to promote the upcoming Urban Forest Plan and to engage New Yorkers directly, gathering their feedback, ideas, and aspirations for the city's urban forest. From these conversations, it's clear that community members are deeply concerned about the inequitable distribution of canopy coverage across the city and the future their neighborhoods may face if these disparities remain unresolved. This sentiment was echoed by more than 2,450 New Yorkers who attended City of Forest Day 2025, an annual day of events dedicated to celebrating our city's urban forest. This movement continues to build momentum, with participation increasing from 89 events in 2024 to 130 events in 2025. Out of that celebration, I was able to connect with a teacher at South Brooklyn Community High School in Red Hook, a neighborhood where tree canopy coverage has historically been lower than the citywide average. There, I had the opportunity to engage with students who might not otherwise think about the importance of trees in the city. By the end of our in-class lesson and stewardship activity, I could see a shift in the students' perspectives. Students who had never considered the role of trees were excited to be outside caring for them. They began asking questions about soil health and said they would share what they learned with their friends. Not only does uneven distribution of tree canopy leave low canopy communities especially vulnerable to worsening public health outcomes and compounding environmental inequities, it also prevents young people from connecting meaningfully with the world around them. And I say this as a former city kid myself, that without equitable access to green infrastructure, students are not only disproportionately exposed to climate risks, but are also less likely to see their neighborhoods as spaces where they have agency and belonging. With funding for the Urban Forest Plan, parks and other agencies in partnership with groups like Trees New York and the Forest for All NYC Coalition can expand education, stewardship, and workforce development initiatives that build long-term capacity to care for our city's trees. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
All right, we're going to call our final panelist, two in person. Let's start with Joan Rudishar, as well as Lewis Cox, and joining by way of Zoom, Haley Gorenberg and Christopher Leon Johnson.
to start?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations, Commissioner Hankerson, chairperson of this important committee. My name is Joan Rudershan. I've lived in New York City for 60 years, 43 in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. In addition to my family and friends and my cats, New York City's urban forest is my great love. Personally, I'm a Parks Department super steward. I organized in the early 2000s the planting of 200 trees in New York City's gray zones as a result of a lawsuit for idling city tourist buses. And for 8 years, I've worked with a group of street tree care people in Manhattan at First Presbyterian Church. And I am a member of a group called Friends of Fort Greene Park. And we have an urgent suggestion for the City Council that will help the city reach the goal of 30% canopy by 2035. Rethink the capital plan for Fort Greene Park, the northwest corner, which calls for the elimination of 78 trees and green spaces. Please preserve the continuous grove of mature trees that extends from this northwest entrance of Fort Greene Park to the top of the monument steps. Preserve the London plane branches that meet and greet each other like a cathedral that let in enough sun for the green space below. Maintain the grassy mounds, the beloved playground for the community. Protect 11 thriving Zelkova trees on the steps of the monument in Fort Greene Park with shade runners and nurture wildlife, and protect the triangle of honey locusts shading the bus stop at Myrtle and St. Edwards. This grove, as it is an urban forest. It's an urban treasure, and it's the backyard of the residents of adjacent Walt Whitman and Ingersoll Nycc houses, as well as my favorite area of the park, to which I come for an experience of nature in the city. It needs maintenance, but not a redesign. Friends of Fort Greene Park has fought to keep the magnificent trees and green spaces for 10 years. Our alternative plan is on our website, and you will have it with my testimony. It is less expensive and would enable funds to be spent for other environmental justice areas. We have a new administration, a new Parks Commissioner, and it's time to rethink this capital plan for Fort Greene Park. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to say I love Fort Greene Park. I've been to a few concerts and events there, so.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Please meet with us.
Absolutely.
And come, we'll take you for a tour of the park and show you exactly the areas we're talking about.
Would love that.
They're so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. And beneficent.
We're joined by Haley Gorenberg on Zoom, I think.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
How are you?
I am very pleased to be here. Thank you very much. So, to quote the Onceler, who after the Lorax departed left us to speak for the trees, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. And that means taking protections from the books where they sleep nice and cozy and putting them to work. I'm Haley Gorenberg, civil rights and anti-bullying advocate and volunteer with Friends of Mount Prospect Park. We formed in crisis after Mayor Adams announced a large concrete skateboard facility would soon occupy this beloved neighborhood park's central green space oval. We thought irreplaceable shade trees planted mid-century in a park officially eligible for the National Register were protected, but despite reams of city provisions and opposition from thousands of New Yorkers and a roster of darn impressive organizations, concrete construction that arborists tell us will damage, if not kill, stately shade trees is apparently barreling ahead. Construction on top of and cutting through networked root systems growing for decades. A new heat island bankrolled with more than $11 million of public money. Brooklyn ranks low for green and canopy. Heat islands sicken and kill us. Green space and tree canopy are free AC, routinely more than 10 degrees cooler. Trees boost our health and correlate to lower violence. Brooklyn also has the most skate sites, very inequitably distributed and many in poor condition, but New York City Parks is cutting, threatening, and damaging trees. Near endangered Mount Prospect, in another park that is officially disadvantaged, the city is chopping down some of very few trees. A community member asked me sincerely whether Parks is cutting their healthy trees because city leaders think that Black children need more direct sunlight. So there is a vast chasm between what's on the books and what's happening. We can have great tree policies in this city, but our leaders really need to lean into it a lot more
Thank you.
and
Your
make it
time has
real.
expired.
Because if we don't experience justice, what leaders say doesn't matter much.
Thank you, Haley, and thank you for your fight for environmental justice. It is necessary. Thank you. Christopher Leon Johnson.
Yeah, Chair, my name is Christopher Leon Johnson. Thanks for having this hearing, Mr. Hankerson. First time doing it. Okay, I want to make this clear that the city council need to understand that be real careful of a certain person that really runs the parks. She ran a DOT. Her name is Kathy Park Price. She's a lobbyist. So of course they will try to find a way to take away the tree. They want to try to save the trees so they can put their little bike to cover the bike lanes like that when it comes to the tree guards and stuff like that. I want to make this clear that look, it's a lot we can't do to save the trees. You know, we need paper in the city. The city we still use paper, and many of these lobbyists and consultants love using paper, and they love to give the city council paper, 25 sheets of paper to every council member every time they have it's like a committee hearing just like this. I'm not saying that personally, but this is the truth. We can't, there's a lot we can't do to save the trees in the city of New York. But it's sad that they take away the trees, which hurts the people that are old and people that needs that shade in the summertime. I mean, I love shade. I mean, I love to have that shade, but it's they about the trees that it hurts into the development. It cuts into the potential of development. So of course they want those trees out the door. But going forward, Mr. Hankerson, I think that you should be doing a way better job than Mr. Shekar Christian. Shekar was captive to Kathy Paul Price, and look what happened to the city with everything she was doing with under the parks. She's still doing to this day, and she feels that because you're younger than Mr. Shekar Christian, and Mr. Sir, you don't have any children. She feels that she could treat you like your child. So be careful, Mr. Hankerson, when you're running this committee, and be careful of the lady that spoke, the Asian lady, Kathy Park Price, because she's going to try to think she could think that you're Shekar Christian, and she could run you over like a child. So be careful, brother. I know you're gonna do well. I know you're gonna do a way better job than Shekar Christian, but be careful, Kathy Park Price, because she thinks she
Thank you. Your
runs.
time has expired.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Your time has expired. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I believe that was all of our witnesses. Councilmember, would you like to say any final words before I close?
No, my compliments on a terrific hearing, and it's great to see so much enthusiasm from the public and such well-informed witnesses.
Thank you. And again, I want to say thank you to all of the folks that testified, the advocates, to the Parks Department, and the administration. Oh, I'm sorry. We have one more person. No, no worries. We're going to ask Louis Cox to. Are they on Zoom? Yeah. Okay. Louis, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Free to go.
My name is Louis Cox. I was born and raised in New York and lived here 36 years. And they started cutting down some trees in my neighborhood, and I used to just kind of assume, the Parks Department takes care of it, someone else takes care of it. And then one day I realized that that wasn't necessarily true. I'm very lucky to have a tree in my backyard that my father planted. I started getting worried about it. I wanted to do something about it. I didn't want to mess it up. And I was able to get a citizen pruner license through Trees New York. Since then, I have become the tree planting coordinator for the Cobble Hill Tree Fund. We've planted 25 trees in the last year. I am also a director on the Cobble Hill Association, which is an organization that pays for the maintenance of Cobble Hill Park. And what I've realized is that the Parks Department is chronically underfunded. It's sort of a running joke. People, 3 years to get a new tree, chronically underfunded. What I realized is that when I actually meet individual Parks Department employees, they're all very nice, very qualified people who want to do everything they can to help. They just don't have enough employees to meet the needs. But what I'm sort of saying is that I shouldn't exist. I'm a volunteer. It's a nonprofit tree planting program, and it's wonderful that volunteers step up to do this, but it shows that there's a budget gap. And so within that, I just wanted to sort of make my voice heard and advocate for more funding for parks, because what I consistently find is that people really appreciate the trees. They want more trees and they want them taken care of. And what I find with the pruning contracts is that it's a subcontractor. You know, it's like when you have your house work done, they send someone who sends someone, and you know, they paint the wrong wall the wrong color. And it's so important to have a project manager there sort of checking up, because the Parks Department itself has very good guidelines. If you read them, they make a lot of sense. But when you have contractors and subcontractors that are sort of, I think the city
Thank
law
you. Your time
requires
has
the Parks
expired.
Department to take the lowest bid. And so that level of quality is very important. And funding is the thing that will solve that. Thank you so much.
Louis, thank you for your testimony. All right. With that, that brings our first hearing to a close. Again, thank you to everyone who testified. I look forward to working with each and every one of you to ensure that New York City's parks are for everyone. Have a good day.